What's up, 12s? It's Loaf the Tuba with the Seattle Seahawks, and you're watching NorbCam.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you. I feel like I just talked to you guys just a little bit ago when I did my little news segment. But we are here for Coach's Corner. I'm excited about it because this is our first post-draft Coach's Corner. So we're going to talk a little bit about the draft and then get into what this all means with the West Coast offense and the new toys we have and some of the old toys that we have and how it's all going to shape together in this multi-series that we have been doing that Coach Marsh has been putting together about the West Coast offense. So I'm going to bring him in just a second. Just want to remind everybody, I would love it if you could please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It's greatly appreciated. And I want to just thank you all the NORBFAM members, which they're not coming up on my screen right now because sometimes you get those weird glitches. But thank you, NORBFAM members, for signing up. Appreciate your support. So let's get Coach Marsh in here. Coach Marsh, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, I'm excited. This weekend we had the draft. I was watching a lot of volleyball, so I didn't get to watch the entire draft as it happened. So I had to kind of play catch up. But then after finally did, it was like, interesting. I can't wait to see what the coach first thought was. I wonder what Coach Marsh thinks about all this. So I'm going to ask you, Coach Marsh, what did you think about the draft? Without getting too much deep in the weeds, what was your overall impression of the 3 picks that we had?
Hey, I thought all of them were great. You know, I was actually surprised, obviously, I think like a lot of people were, that we didn't trade and get more draft picks, because that's kind of been our MO over the course of the time. So with that, I actually liked the fact that we had had 3 and took 3, and I felt like we kind of nailed it. And by nail, I'm saying if you're gonna get into the grading thing, a B or above is great, and I would definitely give it that or higher. I love our first draft pick. I think we took care of 3 of the needs, and I'll explain why as we go through this, because I think there's a lot of debate on, well, we didn't again take care of Russ Moore with more linemen and all this other stuff. Not after seeing who we got. I'm excited about who we have, as well as the other couple draft picks as well. So be interested to see what people say in the super chat and other stuff as we go through the night, and as we get to know who these draft picks are, and as people get to learn about how they played. And again, we don't know how they're going to play out. So I was excited about it. Very excited about who we took.
Yeah, and, we're all speculating until we actually see them on the field. It's all a big speculation. So, Jeremy G in the Super Chat, thanks for jumping in here. What did you think of EDP 445's last 2 weeks? And yes, you did had a shout-out with him back in the 2019 video with Philadelphia. I'm not going to get too into this because it's sort of off topic, but since you did Super Chat it up, it's unfortunate. I don't know if you know him. Do you know who the EDP 445 is? Yeah, you do. Okay. Well, so everybody knows who he is. But yeah, he's gotten in a little bit of trouble because doing some inappropriate things on the internet, and he kind of got caught on it. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if he actually got.
He did.
If the police have gotten involved, all I know is they put a video catch him in red-handed, and that's kind of where it's at. But yeah,
I think they are. Not that I want to talk about it, but I
don't want to get into it either.
That type of stuff too,
there's plenty of other stuff out there, but yeah, we want to stick with the football side of things. But
it was Lumar, and some others were my source. You know who Lumar?
Okay, all right, yeah. So
when you got a young son and you got other kids that are young and everything else, and that's how you stay the hippest grandpa in America, is by having people that keep you informed on these things.
I was just going to say that's how you stay to be the hippest grandpa in all America. So, but yeah, no, I appreciate you super chatting and for the support, man. But let's continue on. So I'm with you. I gotta admit, I have been looking at the draft and all of our moves through Bill Marsh colored glasses lately. Meaning I'm buying the Kool-Aid. I've taken everything I've learned from these multiple lessons, and I'm thinking about it in terms of not the conventional previous 12s thinking, which was always, we need offensive linemen. We got to do this. We got to do that. Instead, I've been thinking we're talking about a whole new system, a whole new thing that doesn't rely on just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because the water might actually be fine, and so might be the baby. And it's just a matter of putting the two together and throwing a little lotion on it, So
isn't it nice when you can be at an age where wisdom starts to step in? And I'm not saying I am a wise guy, but I'm not a wise guy. But when you can start throwing out those phrases and analogies, throw out the bath, baby with the bathwater and everything else, and then you're like, I don't know what that really means, but I think I can actually connect something to it. Like whoever came up with that line, like ridiculous, but
I know.
you could put something to it now. Like, oh, I feel like the old guy I always looked up to, who looked like an old guy. So am I looking like the old guy that I used to look up to?
Yeah, no, my dad's got a whole bunch of those phrases that he likes to throw in during shows, but some of them are less PC these days than they used to be. But we won't get into that. But what we will get into more talk about the West Coast offense. I'm excited to talk about Tyler Lockett, of course, who's got his freshly signed contract, and now we got D'Wayne Eskridge, newly signed top draft pick of the Seahawks for 2021. These guys are going to be the number, well, I don't know, is it number one and number three, number two and number three? I guess depends on how you look at it. But we're going to get into all this. But I think we want to take a little bit of a road down West Coast lane. So I'm ready to do it when you are.
Good, man. All right. So,
actually, but before you jump in, I do want to remind people we are going to take calls. So if you want to jump in with a question for the coach, just hop in on Discord. The link is in the description and pinned at the top of the chat. And you can also call conventionally right here, the number 515-606-5121. Enter the code, and then we'll try to pull as many calls as we can during the break, in the middle and near the end of the show. All right, Coach Marsh, the floor is yours.
Okay. So, it's been fun kind of creating like a syllabus for this thing in terms of, how we want to move forward with the plays and with West Coast offense, and it's like taking your schemes and your concepts and put them into this show. So the schemes we've been looking at are West Coast offense, and now the scheme is going to be the draft. And this show is going to be about kind of doing a hybrid with that. Well, part of that scheme is a concept known as the history of the West Coast offense, like looking at where did we come from on that. So I went back and I was curious, like you obviously know who Kevin Bacon is, right, Norb? And the famous six. Yeah. He actually did a TED Talk on that. He did a TED Talk on how he has done the 6 degrees of himself on it. It's a really, really good TED Talk about everybody's 6 degrees separation for everybody, right? So I wanted to see if there was any connection to our staff from, Bill Walsh to now, because I've brought him up so many times, in terms of Bill Walsh, but I never really did that type of a research. And I'm a research geek. So I did look it up. I wanted to check it out. And here's what I discovered. So basically, this is a graph that just takes you through 2006. If I'd have pulled out the one that gets you all the way till 2021, these concentric circles would be crazy, right? So you got Bill Walsh, the architect of the West Coast offense, in there. And again, he built upon a offense that had already been established, but he was the one who really evolutionized it or revolutionized it. So then you look in this quick circle here, and I'm going to turn it into a little bigger piece as we go. Real quickly, this guy up here at the top is a guy by the name of Mike Holmgren. Now, most people do know that Mike Holmgren came out of the Bill Walsh tree, right? Well, okay, we get Mike Holmgren, we run the West Coast offense, we go to a Super Bowl, sand some referees, maybe we already have the Super Bowl in hand by the time we get there. But what most people do not know is that all of a sudden you go one more layer out from Walsh to Holmgren, or this concentric circle here. Well, the most direct guy to Bill Walsh was George Seifert, because he took over for him. But do you know who came out of George Seifert's direct tree? A guy by the name of Pete Carroll. Now, I'd argue that most people wouldn't know that one. So now Pete Carroll.
I didn't know that one, but I see his face right there. So
yeah, there's the proof of the face there. So now here's what I see going on here, is that all of a sudden you get a Bill Walsh who's done his thing, and then he takes it out to the spot there, and I'm going to bring myself back to the camera. What's really cool is that all of a sudden you start putting this piece together. Like, okay, why would we hire Waldron? And, we didn't think those guys knew what they were doing. I mean, obviously that's their job, is to spend every single moment of the day discovering who they're going to choose and who they're going to hire. So the fact that they chose an offense that is obviously from the background of Pete Carroll obviously knows a lot about the West Coast offense, having, done that, in the past and had that type of tutelage. He's a defensive minded guy. And I get that. When he went to the Jets and floundered, we went to other places, but then he had that reflective time where he went to USC, and he had players like Snoop Dogg and Will Ferrell and stuff like that came in and helped the Rockstars named Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. Obviously, a little play on the words there. But I think that was his reflective moment to go, okay, what do we really want to run, and establish the run? And now all of a sudden you get into this really neat coaching tree. And you can obviously go on and on with all those different things. But that to me was a really, really neat thing to find, that our current head coach has a direct straight line that's just 2 circles out, not even 6th degree. It's the 2nd degree of separation. So that I think was a really neat moment for me as I started looking at it. So why Tyler Lockett then? Or actually, before I go to Tyler Lockett, here's one of the other things I want to show you. So we have these West Coast offensive-minded guys in our division, right? I mean, two of the 3 guys that are head coaches in our division are direct West Coast guys, right? Whether it's their dad, whether it's Shanahan's dad, that tree, or Shanahan works all the way up to Walsh, and then you get Arizona, who's obviously doing something different, and then now we're running it. Well, what you have here that I'm showing you, and I've promised this before, are the play sheets of an offensive coordinator. Now, these are 8 different people, aren't necessarily all running the West Coast offense, but a few of them are definitely running those type of things. But what you'll see here is the different ways that people put together their play sheets. And the West Coast offense, that because it is so intricate, and here's the first one. There's 8 of them. I know it's the 3rd picture that came up. But you can see how some people don't put much on, and they do a lot of handwriting, a lot of notes. There's another one that's a true West Coast offensive play sheet, and that's our same guy, Shanahan. Ton of stuff on the other side. Those are all his plays. There's a coach who gets fired pretty quickly, and you can see kind of the bare bones basic of his play sheet. When I saw that, I actually laughed out loud, Norb, because it's like the most primitive play sheet I'd ever seen. Super Bowl champion, a guy he's a highlighting guy. He likes to carry his highlighter. And then you're going to see there's a guy who obviously
lots of colors on that one.
Look at all the colors on that one. And he's got a vertical play sheet, right? So everybody does it a little bit different, but most of these guys are West Coast. There's, Andy Reid got his, look at how long those sentences are. It doesn't matter what the words are, but very long sentences. Yeah, somebody who's done pretty well there. Pretty simple sheet. No writing on his thing. He's not highlighting it. They've got a very distinct piece. And then my guy, Gruden, the architect of, some of the greatest play calls ever. So as I get ready to go into Lockett, here's what I want to say on that. And later on, I think it'll be fun to do an actual kind of a breakdown of what goes on to those, because what people don't know, and this is very important with the West Coast offense, you see people that cover their face, right, with the play sheet. They're calling the play, and then they're doing this, because it used to be, you don't want someone to read your lips.
Yeah, it's like it's same in baseball when they go out to the pitcher's mound and the manager comes up and the catcher and the pitcher's talking and they're covering it up. And
totally.
I always thought that was funny because I thought, are they really paying that close attention to be able to read their lips? But maybe it just makes them feel better about it. But
yeah,
is there truth to that? Did you ever cover your mouth to hide your lips? Like there are professional lip readers out there figuring out what you were doing?
So it's funny you say that because we had a company by the name of Quantum Productions that used to film our games. A classic story that I haven't shared with anybody. That there was a time where I started to get a little bit paranoid because the head coach of the other team that I had to battle every single year and try to beat every single year, like our arch nemesis. Well, at one point he started recognizing where you were going during games, and he came to me when we became friends. Like the first 7 years, it's like heated rivals. And then we started to become friends as he's having kids, I'm having kids. We're meeting at athletic director meetings and stuff. And he says, hey, I noticed the guy in the blue jacket always works the sidelines down there with that camera. And we're starting to pick up a sense that when you're going to throw it deep. And all of a sudden I thought, man, that's right, because you're listening, you and Mike were listening to me in the earpiece. So you started to learn what my play calls were, which were very much West Coast offense like, because I was running West Coast offense for many years. So I'm telling players exactly where to go, right? So if you learn and you go down there now, that opposing team is scouting us, they're looking for the guy in the blue jacket.
Oh, yeah, because if I go down deep to prepare for the long pass.
We're at the 45 of our side, and they see you sprint down from that end zone all the way down to that end zone because you heard me call a play, or that, hey, offensive coordinator, let's run this, let's run the deep ball here in a couple of plays. I never brought it up to you guys because I
never thought about that. Yeah, because being the step ahead of the game cameraman that I was, or that we were thinking, we better get down by the end zone in case this bomb pays off and they score a touchdown. We don't want to be way in the midfield.
Great footage, right? I mean, I just put it in our open for the huddle roundtable with my younger group. That one of the footballs. So all that stock footage, it's fantastic because you're right there in the end zone. But as we get ready to go to this thing, if I was still coaching when I was ill, well, that's when the iPads started coming out at the high school level. They allowed high schools to do it, and I was able to use it for the first couple games before I had to retire. Well, those things were incredible, but I could see sidelines and everything else. Well, as smart as that opponent was that we had for all those years, I mean, they had 20 coaches and scouting all over the map. You better believe they would have filmed you. I think they would have filmed you and even during games had stuff in iPads going, hey, we don't care what Eastside Catholic's running on offense. Just track the guy in the blue jacket. He'll give us a good sense of where it's going.
That's funny.
Man, oh man, could have changed the game.
Yeah, no kidding. That is
so going back to this
key
piece,
observation.
the ending piece I was going to say was, obviously they do that. Now, yeah, people can zoom in and get everything else. But on the play sheets now, what they've had to do over the last 8 to 10 years is on those different sections, most coaches have at least 3 sections that are decoy sections that mean nothing, but they have to come up with a series of plays. So they got somebody who's working on that during the course of the week to come up with dummy plays to put on their, third, goal line, red zone, third, whatever, and they don't mean anything. But during the game, they got to make sure they highlight them. They have a script, and it might be page 1 script, page 2 script. Well, the page 1 script is the dummy one. The page 2 is the real one. Because you just saw what I saw was
you could read every play on that sheet on that close-up camera shot.
Yeah, and now they have these 8K cameras that, by the way, aren't 8K. As you know, they're 4K. People are jumping all over the 8K stuff.
Right.
But the fact that you can get cameras out there so close to the action for us fans, we're going to be able to see all these plays no matter what. And if we can see from the moon to the earth, they're going to be able to find the plays. So the whole play sheet thing, it is a science like no other, man. It is. So if you're fascinated with that, let Norb know in the description, and we'll do a separate show about that, because it is fascinating, some of these little sideline things, that take place, or why do coaches and players stand where they do on the sideline. Everybody has a specific job on the sideline.
Yeah. No, I remember, this is totally not related, but I remember going to, this was a few years back, early 2010s. I went to a Husky Wazoo game, and Wazoo was not good at that time. But they had 2 guys who were the signal, 2 players who would give the quarterback the signal. One guy was the real guy, the other guy was the decoy. So they're both doing these hand gestures, and it was the funniest thing is these guys just doing this animated stuff, and one of them is the real one and the other one's the fake. And it's hilarious, but all the different codes you have to go through to disguise what it is.
Yeah,
like you said, it is easy.
You guys were gone, but the final 2 years, when Cliff was doing it for us, who'd work with you, I had 3 quarterbacks because we were running we were doing things, and we knew that teams were trying to pick up on what we were doing because of our triple I and then converting out to the spread back to triple I. That I'd have a quarterback that was signaling. I had 2 other quarterbacks that were also signaling stuff, and at each half, we'd rotate who was really doing what. And it was like, you're trying to stay. And part of it was fun to keep the kids engaged. I mean, I always saw like it's high school football. Like some coaches get so over the top, like, dude, it's high school football. If someone's cheating, like, get them out. But at the same time, you have to do that. And then they moved to those play cards, right? That it was like Beyonce on the left top corner, Cheerios in the right corner. Yeah,
with all the big posters of all the different symbols and stuff, right? Yeah. I've always found it fascinating.
All that was a college coach, and this is all related to West Coast offense because you had so many people know the West Coast offense that you'd have. There was a coach, and I can't remember which school it was. It might have been Oregon, because Oregon became really famous because they always had Lee Corso on the upper left and a model on the upper right, and they'd have a letter, a science symbol on the lower left, and then like a college mascot or some pro mascot in the other corner. But it was just a coach the head coach said, hey, we have to come up with something different because the teams were stealing our signs. And they had a bye week, and that coach had to come up with something, and he came up with the idea of 4 3-foot by 3-foot cards with the formation, the play. That's how they came up with those 4 things to do it. So yeah, it's intricate how they do this stuff. It's intricate.
Yeah, well, you have to bring one of your play sheets in, and we can actually study your actual ones.
Well, we can, because I actually found the wristband from the state semifinal of 1994, my first year when I went with Chuck. 1994 state semifinal. I found his wristband. Now, he passed away a few years back, right? We had 10
this was the coach's
plays.
Wristband, not the quarterback one, the coach's one.
Coach Tarbox, and I love to always bring him up. He was the 8th ranked coach of the 20th century for Washington high school football. Multiple state titles, just everywhere he went, just a winner. Kids loved everything else. But he was one of those, he was the guy who introduced me to Walsh at that clinic, and then he was the one who found the fly offense. Like, he was always trying to be an revolutionary guy to do those things. But he would wear a wristband during the games, and we would only run like 8 to 10 total plays, but we would beat him he was a formation guy. So we'd run multiple formations. But to see the wristband with only 8 total plays, and the font was really big, and he was one that he'd coached so long, and I'm in my first year. He would take his headset off, set it on the thing, and then he wouldn't get back to the headset till the end of the half. I'm like, Coach, like, I'm bored up there. Like, if you forget to bring the headset back on, I'm not gonna be able to help you at all. But then, so then I found my wristband, and it's like
1,000 plays.
Flip it up. There's another 50. There's another 50. I'm like, God, what did I do to these kids, man? Yet they can't remember to turn in their math, but they could memorize 1,500 plays when you multiply a play by 17 formations. Like, it's pretty cool.
I do the Chuck Tarbox approach to Madden. I run like 6 plays really well, and I can't do any of the other ones. So I just, if someone ever plays me, they'll know exactly what I'm going to do because I run the same little plays all the time. But I like being good at a few instead of trying to do too many. But, that's because I'm a little simpleton in that regard. But it works for me right now. Works for me. But
it does.
I got to add that Nick LeBeau says, after I made that comment about back when Wazoo wasn't very good, Nick LeBeau added, LOL, Norb, they still suck. Sorry, Noah. And he probably needs to apologize to you as well. But just thought I'd mention that, Nick LeBeau.
So that's 2 marks against Nick LeBeau. Just one more strike, he's not going to be able to be on the round table.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving.
So I'll use this Tarboxism because I have like 50 Tarboxisms that I love to use. My first practice, there's 117 kids out there. It's 117 because I remember because it was in the newspaper the next day that he had taken a team they had the 37-game losing streak. He takes them. They go to the Metro title that year. Second year, I'm come on board. There's 117 kids out there. It's unbelievable. A receiver drops a ball, like right first the team play we do, and all I hear really loud is, "Who coaches that guy?" For the rest of my 5 years under him, I made sure he never said that again. It was the greatest learning lesson as an assistant coach I ever had because it taught me to not sit back there and just hang out with coaches, not just buddy around with kids. We would we never had more than a 2-hour practice, and our pregame Thursday practices, even in my career, never more than an hour. These teams that go 3-hour stuff, because he was just, let's get it done, reward the kids. But when he said, who coaches that guy, which is what you need to start saying when you have a bad play in Madden, like, who called that play? Now all of a sudden the onus is on them. That's why I brought it up. But when I heard that, I literally realized, man, I got to watch every player all the time. You did not want to be the O-line coach because he would say, who coaches that guy? But he wouldn't get on the kid. And he never got upset at a kid. He would just tell the coach in a really neat way. And that was his way of saying, you better start coaching it. That's why he won all those state titles. It was very cool stuff. So.
Well, it's like Karate Kid. Remember from Mr. Miyagi, no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher.
Yes.
So there you go. Words of wisdom that applies. One of my favorite moments mic'd up with Coach Tarbox when we first started doing the mic'd up stuff, and he was still the head coach and you were the assistant. I remember we had a mic on him, and it was I don't know what the play was. It was some kind of pitched fake to the right and throw like slant to the left. But I remember there was this
28x slant.
There it is.
I just talked about that the other night. I write 28x slant.
But I remember you guys were in formation. You didn't even snap it yet, and he's just looking. He goes, "This is a touchdown. This is a touchdown." And sure enough. Yeah. Pitch, throw, touchdown. I mean, he must have obviously seen they were in the wrong coverage or whatever. Beach. But that was my favorite. I love those moments when you can see it happening before it happens. I mean, you know what's going on, big picture, if you can predict the result before it happens. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah.
You're in the zone. All right, let's get to some fun. Let's get to some stuff. I know we're pushing it here. So we're going to go Tyler Lockett. I'm going to show a couple of skill set things. And the reason why I've chosen Tyler is because we've talked about DK in terms of the player. But Tyler Lockett, to me, is the guy who's going to really make this offense go for many reasons that I'll kind of get into. But the way he plays, like I've been waiting so long to do it because I speak at clinics on 3 main things, right? I speak as a head coach, talking about head coach philosophy stuff, but quarterback play. But wide receiver play has always been my favorite. As much as I think I know enough about quarterback to be dangerous, wide receiver to me is like one of the greatest things you can coach because the uptick of a player, even at the NFL level, can increase so much. Most people don't realize Tyler's, 4.3 40 guy, that he's, all these records in college is just a freak of nature. And then we're going to relate it to our first draft pick that we had, D'Wayne Eskridge. So I'm going to transfer us over to the.
While you're transferring, one thing I want to add to that is before he even played, right after he was drafted, I heard an interview with Tyler Lockett for the first time, and I was so impressed with him as just the way he was spoken, the way he spoke, how humble he was, how respectful he was. That stood out a lot. And, obviously his play backed that up. But I was really impressed. One of the best interviews I'd ever heard was that first time hearing Tyler Lockett speak. I was like, wow, this kid, he's wise beyond his years and a really good person. So
yeah, just very articulate.
It's cool to see him doing so well with the team and getting what he deserves. All right.
Well, and he gets it. I think locally we all appreciate him locally. It's the national piece, so that's why I kind of wanted to do this. Not that we're getting picked up by national syndicates or anything like that, but at the same time, as your channel grows and we get you over that.
Yeah, don't sell it short, man. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. But he's one that I want people to see nationwide how great he is, and that in the NFL now you're playing with 8, oftentimes 9, stud type guys on defense. Now they're all studs, but your D line, it's not always. It was always four defensive linemen, and then it became teams will play with 3 because other teams are throwing more. And now you're starting to see like sometimes just the nose is down in a 3-point stance and everybody's up in a 2-point stance. That's allowing teams to double team 2 receivers now because they have to double team DK and they have to double team Lockett. So you got to have a good ace in the hole. When we talk about our draft pick, you'll hear me not say 1, 2, and 3 very much because I want us to try to move away from that. So first,
Hey, Coach, really before you start, sorry, I keep sidetracking you, but there was a really good comment here by Darren Bales. He says, just wondering, is the smartest thing to switch offense to your rivals who has seen it in practice for the last 5 years? Defense will be calling out all the plays. So you don't have to answer that now, but let's maybe table that for later because I think it's a really good point.
Let's make that the first question because I got an answer for you.
Okay, all right.
All right, direct
continue.
answer for you.
All right, let's stick with Lockett, though.
Okay, so here's what we have. Going to show just a couple skill set things first because I always think it's important to appreciate the player, right? So what we have here, let me just make one little quick adjustment just to make sure that we are good to go on here. And if you're going to pop on with me at any point, Norb, you're more than welcome to jump on the field with me here. All right, so Lockett's up here at the top. And for those of you who are watching, I will usually pick a couple plays that I'll tell a straight pre-show, and then the rest of the time I'm just using kind of this yellow arrow trying to keep it so it's not just a bunch of lines and stuff all over. All I want you to watch here is his arms. And what you constantly teach receivers, beyond just catching the ball, there's multiple things you have to do. You got to get off the line of scrimmage. You got to learn how to run routes. You have to finish routes. You have to do the yak, which is yards after the catch. There's lots of different components. But the thing I love teaching the most and seeing at the NFL level is a receiver that understands the concept of using your arms. And by using your arms, it's not what I see a lot of these guru types teaching now, which is hammering. Like guys are just hammering their hands and they think, well, if I hammer my hands really fast, my legs will go quick. No, you have to rotate at the shoulder, and it starts at the beginning by getting your arms going. It's a track and field philosophy. So you'll see the guys that get off the line quick are the guys that know that your arms will always synchronize with your legs. Now, if I was standing up, I'd show you what I did every camp with the young kids, where I would literally run in place with my arms in slow motion and my legs going fast, because you just don't do that in life. So here's what I want you to watch. And actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you to see. So I just want you to see how when Lockett comes off the ball, his right arm, how hard it pushes. Okay, so as he gets set, again, he's just up there at the top. All we're looking at is just his getting off of the ball. Okay, now again, it happens so fast that I'm going to show it a couple times because I'm not sure. The idea is we're not watching the play here. I just want you to see his right arm, how quickly it comes up high over his helmet, literally. Okay, up over his helmet, his right hand, boom. Well, if your arm goes up that high, right, and your leg is back, right, so his right leg is back, or it doesn't matter which one, whichever the opposite one is. If you get that arm driving either forward above your helmet, or you drive that, and we always used to say, try to grab an apple and throw it back as high as you can behind you so your elbow goes up higher than your shoulder. But if you do that, and I know this may seem like, hey, this is too intricate stuff. This is football 501. That's why I want people to come to this, to get this type of stuff. Because here's why it's important. Why does Lockett get so open? Well, it's this first thing right here. Watch how quickly he breaks down this cushion out and how much this guy is thrown off by how quickly Lockett gets to him. He doesn't anticipate that it's coming, which allows Lockett to then get out of the break, in and out of the break so quickly. And this guy doesn't know what speed's coming at him because he is so quick coming out of this. So I'm just going to let it play all the way through. Now I want you to just watch this guy. Because of that arm break, how high it is, his legs are now driving. I mean, his first 5 yards is as quick as any guy in the NFL. Okay, here we go. Watch the DB. Boom. Oh, I better turn. I mean, that DB had to turn and get going right away on that one. Watch the DB, how quickly, I better go. Well, now you run that house route, as they call it, come back to the outside. I mean, look at the separation. It's incredible. to have that type of spacing as you go. So that's just one of the pieces that I'm always looking for with a wide receiver, which is something that was nice to actually see a video dropped by DK or his team or whoever of him working on his routes. It actually looked really good because, again, I know these guys go to these guru guys, and that's nothing against them. Like, hey, go make money doing that. Like, if I could do it, I'd go do it. But like teaching the right fundamentals based on what has worked over the course of time. Like, it's not some novel thing. You go back and watch Jerry Rice do the same thing and throughout that. But again, just the way he breaks on that guy so fast. Now when he comes out of it, Norb, Russell only needs 0.1, inch or feet of space, let alone that. So that's the arm piece. Now I'm going to talk about his coming off. We talked about Doug Baldwin, the Allen Iverson crossover, which, by the way, I watched an Allen Iverson video today, and I forgot just how dang good that guy was.
Right.
Like, he was one of my favorite players, but that killer crossover was unbelievable.
I think you got to shrink your video down a little bit because it was blown up from before. A little bit, anyway.
Yep, my bad. Let me else doing what you're doing a little bit.
Doug Baldwin talks about the crossover. Right there was a good. I think he talks with Baldy.
He does an awesome breakdown with Baldy. And there's many receivers that are giving Baldwin credit for how they do it. And I just lost our Green Bay Packer wide receiver,
Davante Adams.
Davante Adams. He gives a ton of credit to his crossover get off the line to Baldwin. Well, if you watch Lockett, he does a little similar, only he takes a couple extra chop steps. But again, just the idea here that crossover. And you can see how he takes that hard stepping jab crossover, gets a jam. This is a good, solid dude who's got a good base. And the thing that I like about him here is, like, I love teaching high school wide receivers. Do not have your feet super narrow and really deep. So, where your back foot is 4 feet behind you. If you got a guy jamming you, you can't have that normal wide receiver stance. You got to shorten this distance and you got to shorten this distance so that you are level to this guy, because if you don't, this guy's going to pop you one. If you take some long stride, and high school guys don't get that. So then a good big dude comes and jams them, and they wonder, why can't I ever get off the line of scrimmage? Well, it's because you're taking these long strides and no one's teaching you to do that. So right away, you can see that he doesn't take a false step. Some people would say, well, geez, he just took a false step with that left foot. No, see how he just quickly closed everything down? Because this guy's level. So now he has to get level, and now it's a basketball game. But the offensive guy's got the ball. So he goes hard jab step there. Woo, man, oh man. Like, that is awesome. This guy doesn't even touch him, and he has got 3 yards of spacing that quickly. Gone. And now it's just wide open. So last piece I want to show on here, it's actually kind of part of the play. Actually, I'll come back to it. It'll be better if I come back to it. So here's what I want to do. I want to show a piece of the play here, and I got to actually trim this one out just a little bit here, real quick. So on the plays that I'm showing, it's a little bit different than Russ's greatest plays of all time. It's more, how does it quasi fit into what we're doing with our offense, right? West Coast. Well, we saw that the jet sweep is obviously something that they are going to be doing quite a bit. So here he is doing his jet sweep, but here's what I love about it. It's him getting the ball, getting around the bubble step, which I absolutely love. Love the bubble step. And now he gets to the outside. He can read it. And this is what he's doing in college all the time. He reads it. He gets great blocking. But the speed and the agility and all those things. So when we're trying to look at, okay, what players are going to sit in certain spots? Last week, Norb, I asked you a question, and I did it on purpose, knowing who we were doing next. And the answer, 100% of the people are going to say the same answer. The question was, who would you like to see run the jet sweep for the Seahawks next year? And do you remember what you answered?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I said DK Metcalf.
Yeah, everybody's going to say that. And he just might do that. I mean, because you want certain guys to do it. But Tyler Lockett, to me, is the jet sweep guy. So those people that are out there, if I say fly sweep, jet sweep originally was called the fly sweep. So, and then you have red light, green light, yellow light type of jet sweep, where you get the ball, you bubble out. And this is where I think Lockett's going to be so great, because DK's strides are so long, it's hard to have him do the red light jet sweep. Red light meaning get the ball, and as soon as you get the ball, you immediately bubble out 3 steps. So if a guy's even blitzing hard off the edge, he can never get to you. When they originally tried it back in 92, 93, 94 at the high school that created it with Mark Speckman, this guy was getting tackled. He's like, you know what? If I just teach this guy to take a bubble, so now you hand it off, there's a cone here, you go around. But red light means get to the top of that third step and hard cut back, and everybody's blocking out. Green light means take that sweep out wide, and we're going to have a receiver, so we're going to crack back block. So this is a yellow jet sweep because it's get it and then push into that hole. Yeah, you're pressing hold, but it's not a cutback. So red. So as we go through West Coast offense over and over and over through the course of time, again, when I say red, it's a hard cutback. Green is get wide. Yellow is find it, read it. But man, he's just so dang quick. It is just very fun to watch how quick he is on that. So I'm going to just come back to you just for a second on the initial output, even though we got a couple more plays to go, just so I can get a screen fix here to get us ready for the next one. Mm-hmm. But on the initial reaction, just on the fundamental piece, Norb, I think what's just really cool to see is a player who is committed himself from the very get-go, even back to college, the highlights I saw there. Like you could tell this kid he's been both well coached early on in his career, whether it was junior high, high school, middle school, youth football, and then into college and everywhere else. It's not like he acquired this at the NFL level. He had some awesome skill sets coming in. And I watched one video, this last thing I'll say on this piece. I watched a video that was about how we acquired him and all the draft moves that it took in a 2-year period to land this kid. It was amazing, but it was almost like we mapped ourselves out to make sure we ended up getting him. There were so many maneuvers that took place, but so worth it because he epitomizes to me what Seattle Seahawks football is. Like when we want someone doing, and I'm not talking representing us as a good guy and all, which he already is, but the player and how well he plays and the fact he can block well. He can take a handoff and run the ball well. He's a special teams guy, and I'm not going to talk about him with Julian Edelman, but on another show I will, because I think he and the other guy we're about to talk about here in a little bit are both kind of that type. Special teams, tough as nails, underappreciated. But man, when it comes to a big play in the playoffs or something else, you kind of Nicholson, right? You want him on that field. You need him on that field. Well, we got to have him on the field. Like he's a playmaker for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was the other thing I remember was that interview with him, and then learning about how good of a route runner he was. I mean, his reputation was already sort of legendary before he even got on the field. And then you see it, and you can see why he's so good at his breaks, his separation, his footwork is impeccable. So yeah, no, we're very fortunate to have him. Somebody in the chat, Rampancy says, Lockett's speed has never been the same since he broke his leg. Nasty injury. I don't know how much truth there is to that. He still did break 1,000 yards last year. That's why I didn't show the end of
that play. The play when he did the Allen Iverson step, that was the play that he injured himself on. That's why I didn't let it play all the way through.
Oh, that was the one. Oh,
yeah, that was the play.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Now, what I would argue is that when people get hurt, and I saw this all the time, even at the little level that I coached at, but it still equates to all sports, all levels. People will come back either better in their skill set, their best skill set, right? So someone gets hurt and they, whether it's their whatever muscle and they swing a bat or they do whatever with a basketball or football or whatever, then they come back better because they just focus so hard on getting better at the skill that got them to that level. And then you get people like Tyler Lockett who, a gruesome injury like that, you kind of know you're probably never going to come back to being a 4.3 40 guy. But you know what the difference between a 4.3 and a 4.4 and a 4.5 40 is in the NFL? Nothing. You know why? Because how many times do you run in a straight line 80 yards unless you're doing a kickoff return? Never.
Right.
You are cutting. You're doing all sorts of different things. I would take 3 guys that run a 4.5 40 that know how to block, run good routes, everything else. Your best receivers of all time, they weren't 4.3 guys. Like this whole thing with the 40 time, which is why they're doing it. You heard they're doing away with it, didn't you? They're going to do away with the 40 time.
Oh, are they? No, I didn't know. I didn't catch that.
I think it's the greatest thing ever because who gives a rip if a lineman runs a 5.2 or a 4.7 or a 5? Like, what lineman do we need going downfield?
Right.
I don't want. Yeah. I want linemen running 7.2 that can block than guys that are fast and want to show by getting downfield and getting a penalty. So what I'm saying there is Tyler Lockett came back and his other skill sets have increased tremendously, which is why I think he's had 90 plus and 100 plus receptions the last couple of years, because now he's not always the guy that goes deep. He's that intermediate guy, which will be our segue to the next one. So, all right.
So you got a couple more plays of Lockett here.
Yep. So here we go. So this is the one of the reasons why I illustrated this one here was from just the standpoint of having a guy that can do so many things, and you get to see it and you really get to appreciate it right here on this play itself. Because what you have there is, a kid that can come out and do what he needs to do. And I'm sorry, I may have just lost it there, but that's fine. Am I still with you there, Norm?
Yep.
Okay. So they're going to go into the motion. So I got to talk about the play just a little bit here. They're going to go into the motion. And basically how I've set this for all future telestrations that I do beforehand is that anything yellow is motion. Anything yellow is or motion or shifting or any pre-snap stuff. Okay. Blue is always, all you got to think about is blue is going to be the guy getting the ball or that we're talking about in a show. Other colors are going to be for certain whatever, as I do create the legend for this. But really that's really where it's at. So what we're going to get here is as the play goes on, and I apologize for the little clip draw bonus there at the bottom, he's going to run a route that is so exceptional that it's amazing to see. And I don't know that I got I may have to come back to you here, Norb, because I'm realizing that I may have to come back to that play because it didn't drop in. I'm going to come back to that one at the break.
Okay.
So I'm going to come back to you just because I got an issue that didn't pop in. It didn't connect to the play.
No problem.
Beforehand. So I'm going to bounce to a different one, and then we can take a couple of calls here.
We got a little spoiler sneak peek at that play, which we all know all too well.
Yeah, but what he does on that play, like that's why I'm so excited to show us. So I want to take a break and make sure we come back to it, which I've learned from you, Norb, is that I don't have to panic in these situations. It's like, hey man, let's just take some calls.
Tell me what's going on. Hey, you want to take a call? I got Andy on the phone call. I got to take him right now.
Let's
or do you want to get to this play first?
Let's do no, not that play. I'm doing a different play. We'll come back to that after we take some calls. So
all right,
sure. So I'm gonna pull up this play right here. So here we go. So this one was against Green Bay, and again, it's kind of that concept of, how well he's doing stuff to get himself available to make things happen, throwing around. So he's up here at the top, playing the number one or the X receiver or there's all sorts of different ways to call it in the West Coast offense. For sake of us calling it here, I will refer to the players just for the sake of the formation as one first receiver, second, third receiver would be the running back here, fourth and fifth. So anybody who's eligible to catch the ball is considered a receiver. So if I say, hey, he's the number one, he's the number two, that I'm not rating them like when we say, oh, DK's our number one and so-and-so's our number two. I'm just saying by position. So he's playing the one up here at the top. How well he gets off of, again, this jam receiver, and I got to believe that most teams are saying, hey, the beast is down here. You got to fight with the beast. But Lockett, you're going to be able to handle him. Watch him. We used to call it the duck and cover move, which you usually do not teach kids because you're always trying to teach kids in any level. The proud chest is the winning chest. Like you want every athlete in every sport, for the most part, to have a proud chest because that gets them in a great position, right? Guy shooting a basketball, chest proud, shooting it. Guys shooting a golf shot, chest proud. Every football position, and if you look at these guys, even when they're in a three-point, if their chest is proud, man, it means they can see their helmet. It means their legs are in the right position. Well, you can tell Lockett, man, he's got the nice proud chest, which allows him to then be in position to do this little breaking move because he's in a great posture. So notice what he did right out of the chute. And this is a little bit of the way we talked about at the beginning. He immediately levels his feet. You can see it right there. First thing out of the chute was leveling the feet. Because you have to, because this guy's level. So if you're going to get in the alley fight, as we used to say, if you're going to alley fight this guy, you better get level. The difference is DBs nowadays, Norb, because receivers are getting so quick, it's no longer the days of Lester Hayes or some of the tough DBs we have today that, the few of them that are still left that get up in your face and really, truly jam you and try to keep you from getting anywhere. Now you got this gap of space, and he's the guy that's on the line of scrimmage. So really, this guy should be able to handle him. But instead, you're going battle with him. But Lockett starts inside, and he starts to fall down. And now you'd think, oh, he's done. But he's so gifted, and this is where I'm saying, like, do you need a 4.340 time to do this? No, you need strong legs and working on your hips. Great bounce. He does a duck and cover move, and what he's attempting to do is you teach guys the day of swimming is over. Those days went long ago. So if you're watching a practice from afar and you see or hear somebody like, hey, do the swim move on the defensive lineman or what. Those days are gone because people are too strong. They'll get into your ribs and send you over. Now what they teach is it's a little Miyagi, right? Like it's shoot your hand through and then use your elbow to try to push the guy off and drive around. It's hard to see from here and you don't get it from the end zone angle, but basically that's what he does. He immediately, you see his right arm disappear. He starts to fall, right arm disappears, and you can see his body turn. You can almost see his two numbers. And now he's trying to push that elbow off. And what allows him to do is look at the separation. Just a flash second ago, the guy is done for. He's done for. And then he uses the right technique, technically sound. This ball, if it wouldn't have mattered where it was thrown from, what yard line, it's a touchdown. And again, not talking about safety, just this one-on-one matchup. That to me, again, little things like that are why he is going to be great as long as he stays healthy, and why he's going to be a great fit for the West Coast offense.
Yeah,
and I've got another 2 plays and the fix. So I might let you go on screen for a minute here and talk about some stuff.
All right, so you're going to do a technical fix while I grab Andy's call.
Yeah, I'll still hear the call, but go ahead and just pull me if you want to pull me off the screen. And I'll
all right,
do a quick fix.
Okay, so let's see. Let's see. Can I get the? I need to get my phone calls in here. So hang on a second, Andy. We'll get you in here. Just got to make sure I can actually hear you. Let's see. Where are my? Somewhere in here. I've got phone calls. Let's see. Hang on a second. There it is. Phone calls. All right, Andy, you are.
And make sure we get to the question that we were given earlier.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's right. About the.
After this, let's take this call first. And then go back to
Andy, you there? Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You've been hanging on the phone line for a while.
Right.
What's up, man? How's everything down in Georgia?
Oh, doing good. I forgot to tell you that I live 100 miles south in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. All right. South of Atlanta. So is it hot this time of year now?
Well, it's moist out there.
Oh yeah, up here, yeah. But down there where you're at, south of Georgia, is it starting to heat up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So what do you got? What's on your mind? You got a question, a comment? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I have a lot of comments about Anthony D and Quentin D. I'm probably go visit with my friends probably in Washington. I don't know when, but I have to go by myself in the airport.
Oh, you're gonna be traveling by yourself to go visit the Anthony and Quentin up here. That's cool. Traveling alone.
Because I haven't talked to them since that I was here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that'll be a fun trip.
Yeah.
When are you coming to do that? This summer?
Probably if after the pandemic is over.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know yet when that's going to be. We're slowly, hopefully, moving to the right direction, but it's slow moving progress. But that's a good way to celebrate, though. Once we get those travel situations worked out and some of these guidelines a little more open, yeah, it'll be pretty good to have you up here. I know that Anthony D was saying he's planning to get his license and drive over here so we can meet up and have some dinner or a buffet or something like that. So that might happen. I think it's late in the summer. I think is his plan.
Yeah. Hey, for the music prediction video, I think have you had the instrumental for the with my cousin Sam Rock Blue Sky song?
I don't know about
question.
That one
Norb,
yet.
that's a deep question for you.
I know,
you have to handle that one on your own.
You
have to handle that question on your own.
I don't know if I have that one yet. You might have to send that to me. I'm sure I can find. I'm pretty resourceful finding these songs. I'm not familiar with that one though.
Yeah, but I'll probably send you the link for that. Maybe I'll look up Blue Skies by Sam Rock.
Blue Skies by Sam Rock. Okay. So that's your suggestion for the music prediction video for next year. That's your suggestion. So,
yes.
I should tell everybody else, I will be starting to plan for the 2021 Seahawks music prediction video. One of my biggest productions, both time to put it together and also in terms of popularity. That video, just every year, it gets a ton of views, which is pretty awesome. So it's worth doing it because it's fun to know that it gets around out in the world. So as I do every year, if you guys have ideas of songs that you think would be good, I think I got it now to the point where I have almost a song per game. So it started out with a 1, and then it became like 4, and then it became 6 and 8, and then I'm up to 16. So it's a quick, fast-moving changing of songs. But I always mix it up. I like to put a little 80s in there, put a little R&B, a little bit of rock, a little bit of hip-hop, a little bit of 2020s, a little bit 2010s. Got to mix it up for a little bit for everybody. So that way the grandpas of the world, like Coach Marsh, can appreciate it. And, the youngsters like you guys can watch it. So, but yeah, send me the link so I can look it up, man.
All right, I'll send you the link for that in the comments.
All right, that sounds good. Well, thanks for
right.
listening to the show, man. Appreciate it. Let me know when you come up to Washington.
I want to say go Falcons, go Bulldogs, go Mainers, and go Hawks. Well, that's for you anyway. Well, go Hawks, get NORB-Cam.
Not necessarily in that order, but yes, thank you. Appreciate it. Andy, all the way
All
from...
participants are muted, and they can unmute themselves.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's Andy. Let's see, no other calls, so I guess we'll be taking calls later in the Discord if people hop on there. But in the meantime, NINJA-CRK, boo, Falcons. All right, let's check back in with Coach Marsh. Coach, are you ready with your clips?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Back to our regularly scheduled program.
Back to the regular.
Back to Tyler.
Back to the regular show.
Tyler Tuesday.
But we still have to answer we didn't get to the one question, though.
Oh, we didn't. Okay, yeah, the question earlier from, who had that question? It was Darren.
I think it was Darren.
Darren, I believe. Darren Bales said, what sense does it make to get another team, a rival team's coordinator, and bring it into your system? Because then the defense of that team, of that rival team, will have been so familiar with it, they're going to know what you're doing. So, yeah, what is the antidote to that if indeed you get the coordinator from another team and they are familiar with that system?
So the answer that I would give to that, having done it, coaches do that all the time, is you have to be the better staff, and it's gonna be an answer that you're gonna go, well, how's that gonna work, or what have you. I would always say that I'm confident that my staff is going to be better prepared, better executing things, better developing their players, everything else than your staff. Not you, Darren, but teams that I would go against. Even though my players were not, and this, Norb, we were out, class in terms of athletic ability at nearly every position, every game, all the time. But why did we win and do really well a lot? Because we would take an offense that might be somebody else's offense, but we're going to coach the heck out of our kids and make sure they know it and understand it and know the skills and everything else. So in a division where we're going to take a guy out of our own division, I would argue the flip side that I want to know everything about that offense. Like, I want to know everything about it. So I'm going to take one of their right-hand guys and bring him in, and we're going to run the same offense. And now we're going to run it better than you, though. And now if our defense is, hard to say if it's better, but we got a lot of good defenses in the league, and we believe our special teams is better than yours, but we think our quarterback is better than yours, our running back is going to be up there battling with yours, our receiving core is going to be as good as yours. So we're going to take your offense, run your offense, know your offense. We don't care that you know our offense because it's now the same offense. We are better than you in every way, shape, and form when it comes to coaching it and the athletes that we have to execute it. And again, I'm just saying that would be my answer. I don't know if that's what they're thinking, but that was the two. We ran 3 different offenses during my 70s, but I had to make sure my kids knew it better. My coaches knew it better. They knew how to coach it up better. They know how to coach the fundamentals better. And then you take a player who's relatively decent. I'll take my receiver against your DB, my quarterback against your DB, and vice versa. Our DB versus your offense. We're going to beat you. So that would be my philosophical take on it. Like, let's just go player for player. Like, let's make everything level, run the same offense, the same defense, the same stuff, and now we're going to see who can coach. Because, you got to argue that just about every position now in every unit, and that's how I usually look at units. Is our unit as good as theirs on O-line, tight end's kind of its own thing, running back, receiver, and quarterback? I'd say we're right up there.
Yeah. Plus, it's not like you just take the other team's playbook and just copy paste and run it exactly the same and do it so that it's completely predictable. They're going to put their own stamp on it. And like you said, just because you have the same philosophy doesn't mean the plays are going to be exactly the same. And you got different personnel, different people running it, so it's going to look different no matter what, because there's just, and the whole thing, go back to that Bill Walsh thing. If everybody from the tree all ran the same thing, well, everybody should be able to figure out everybody else's teams theoretically if they all just follow the same blueprint. But of course they don't. They change it up.
Yeah, and the philosophical piece that I think is what I hope makes this show fun for people is that I'm not just coming on here and showing a play and giving you the X and O of the play. I get that we might go as long as Braveheart sometimes, but to me, it's learning about the intricacies. So what is one of the things that we talk about? It's why I think time of possession is overrated, or why we need to run the play quicker, or different things I throw out there. Sometimes I don't even think that. I say it just to kind of get people riled up on some stuff, so they really think through. Like, okay, we're all running the same West Coast offense. Okay, then where are we going to where's Waldron going to differentiate himself? Like, are we going to go for it on 4th and 3 more than other teams? Are we going to run more trick plays than other teams? Or there's a lot of stuff within, the philosophy of an offense that's more than just the style of the offense. How are we going to utilize our backs? Are we going to throw it on first down 80% of the time, to where other teams are going to run it on first down 60% of the time? Or so if you're into analytics, the West Coast offense to me is one of the coolest offenses to do analytics on, especially comparing to another team that's running it. And the fact we have 2 other teams that are running it, I said all along. I haven't said it here. People know that the season is divided into 4 sections, really. So that first quarter of the season, kind of like first quarter of the game, those first 4 games, after those, let's give them 4 games. It doesn't matter if we're 2-2, 1-3, 4-0. We better not be 0-4. I'll tell you that much. Even 1-3, I think people will be panicking. But get through the 4 games so we can kind of see where we're at. We cannot judge this thing after 1 game. You just can't. But then let's compare to how we're doing in the other groups. And you're going to see it's vastly different. That it's the same offense, but vastly different. Because San Francisco runs the true West Coast offense now. Now that they've brought the fullback out of, they've resuscitated the fullback. So they're running a 2-back West Coast offense. So they're really totally different. The Rams, they're running a lot of heavy tight end 11 personnel. Like, we're not going to run 90% of 11 personnel. At least I don't think so. So that to me is the fun part of it. That's an awesome question, though. I mean, it's a fantastic.
Well, Darren's got a lot of takes here, and it's too bad this is just a chat, because we can't actually debate this. Unless he were to call in. Darren, you can always call in the phone line, or you could join the Discord and voice your direct debate.
What I like, though, Norb, is that I like that these guys, for a while, don't call in. Because Nick LeBeau, I thought was a 40-plus-year-old dude. And then all of a sudden he comes on, and I'm like, wait, is Nick LeBeau's son calling in? Where's Nick LeBeau Sr.? And then it's like, I find out that it's the young kid now. He's 5.2 student or whatever. So I kind of like that this guy's that these people in Super Chat are a little bit mysterious. I don't get paranoid about the bots and all those other things. I like not knowing who he is, because as soon as he comes on, he's like, "Hey, Coach Marsh, so I don't agree with what you're doing, and I'll be at Disneyland in a couple of weeks." It's like, hey, and I'm all about kid. I don't mean that like it's a kid thing. It's just I like that he's just asking questions the way he's asking questions. Right. Keep it that way, man.
I think your voice is actually higher than his real voice with that impersonation, by the way. But that's just.
I was doing my Mike Lorraine. when he's the Denver Bronco guy, whatever.
That's a little bit different, but you might be onto a new character with that one. It's a Mickey Mouse, psycho Mickey Mouse. But
when kids were getting paranoid during the game, I'd go out in the timeout like, "Hey guys, how's everything going out here? Are we good? We okay?" And they'd start laughing. I just try to loosen them up. And the parents, there's 3,000 people thinking, "Oh, I wonder what Coach Marsh is telling." They have no idea that I'm out there with my mega high octane glass shattering voice.
But
okay, anybody have any rocks and sticks on the turf that we could make up a play? All right, guys, here we go. All right, 24 lead on whatever.
But us with a microphone, we knew what you were doing out there. You couldn't hide from us.
Yeah.
But you have to answer these things. But Darren Bale says, going to run the Rams offense better than McVay? Good luck with that. I don't think the Seahawks O-line was put together for West Coast offense. He just kept shooting back with all kinds of
This is why it's good that he doesn't come in. I don't want to spend, because I got other stuff we want to make sure we get to. This will be. I always have a goal of you not saying this was a Braveheart length show, but Of course, we're not going to run it as well as McVay. But is our quarterback going to run it better than their quarterback? No, that for me, that's up for debate. Like because I'm a big fan of their new quarterback. But I would say give Russ some time. Like, we have a better quarterback. Are our receivers going to execute it better? Now, it comes down to our coaches. Can Waldron explain the offense well enough to his position coaches to understand it, and to his passing game coordinator to understand it, running game coordinator to understand it? Can Pete Carroll design the practice schedule well enough? Because you can't copycat the Rams practice schedule. You got to create your own personality practice schedule. And Pete has his way and defensive emphasis and all those other things. So that's where you have to decide it. It's easy to just do it. And I'm not saying this to you, Darren, but this is why I love debates. Because I love when someone just, the first thing that comes to their head, they think, well, we can't run it better than McVay. Well, no, you can't. But you know what? Bill Walsh didn't win every single game either. Like, no one wins every single game. And McVay was figured out, and I'm going to have it either next week or the following week. McVay, the year they go to the Super Bowl, they're crushing everybody, and then New England comes out with a defense that nobody in the history of football has ever run, kind of like when the Bears came out there 46. And then you know what happened the following year after the Rams went to the Super Bowl? They weren't that good because every team in the NFL, including yours truly, the Seattle Seahawks, ran the exact same defense that the New England Patriots did. So now what does Waldron do? He's got to figure out how to overcome that. And what did McVay do to get it to the Super Bowl? He watched the Baltimore Ravens kick his butt, and so he copycatted what the Ravens were doing, and then he became better at how the Ravens ran their own offense. So that to me is the art of the argument. Waldron's not going to be better than McVay. Like, I'm a huge McVay fan. But let's take our unit groups and our defense and our other things, because it's not Waldron versus McVay, it's the Seahawks versus the Rams, right? So I want to our arsenal, give you the arsenal that you need there, Darren, so you can go to other people. Like, bring the battle to me so I can help you win the war with your friends, man. Well, until you go to your friends and go, oh, guys, I'm going to win the war because I got stuff from Coach Marsh.
Well, and as it turns out, he says that to wrap up the whole high voice argument, is that Darren says he is actually 50.
I don't want to know if he's a male or female. I don't want to know his age. Like, I'm not looking at the super chat.
Well, he put it out there. He's not 12. We'll just say that much.
Okay, and you know what? You know what I did on a Zoom call the other day, Norb? I said I was 27 years old. Like, we all make up who we are. People don't know. I mean, like I said, for all I know, he could be an 84-year-old.
That's true, and it doesn't matter, right? Because just because you're 12 doesn't mean what you said doesn't hold water at the same age as 53 or 49 or 72, because wisdom is wisdom.
What have I said forever? Age is overrated, man. I have said that forever.
Just like the 40 time, and just like time of possession.
Yep, but the age of all things is the most overrated, because I've dealt with first-year coaches that coach like they've been coaching for 30 years, and we've all been around people in our industries of work, let alone coaching, who have been coaching for 30 years, who act like they've coached for 2 years, right? That's why I try to be a sponge and do this stuff. Like, that's why I'm on YouTube and trying to listen to Eminem and produce music with my son and have other things, Twitch and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't know how it works, but I want to stay relevant.
You never stop learning.
Compared to Mount Rainier, I'm a spring chicken.
Yeah, it's true. All right,
let's get back to
these plays that you resurrected. I'm ready.
Well, where's my piece? There we go. All right, let's get it going. All right, so I had to make the screen a little bit bigger for a little piece here. So we'll get the illustration up first, so I kind of describe what you're seeing. So again, I already explained the colors. Basically, this is what we're going to see out of the West Coast offense, right? We're going to see shifting, and what is happening right now is before the play takes place, Tyler Lockett pulls on his face mask. Now, very, very common. That's a very common thing in the NFL, that you're going to see guys tugging on different parts of their helmet. And the tugging of the face mask, every team has that, and that's a communication piece where Russell looked at Tyler looks at him, they got that, and Russ checks out of the play. And one thing I've noticed after watching tons of film since you and I started is that anytime they're about to check the play, Russ will do a hard count. So, which is exactly what he does here. So now I'm going to get you to kind of post motion. They're already back to their spots. So he was back there. He knew he was going to check the play because he got the face mask call. So, okay, Russ is going to decide, which I've always wondered, like, does Russ have the freedom to change plays? I'm starting to feel like, yeah, he does. He just wasn't getting them in quick enough to be able to do it. So he changes the play from a shotgun spread thing to motion shift, get set, and now we're in this West Coast offense type of a look with last year's offense. No, the problem with last year's offense to me now, as I've watched more, it was a mixture of too many bag of tricks. Like, we never got the identity. We were doing well until people figured us out. And then we didn't know what to go to. We didn't have schemes to go to. We were like, hey, we're a mixture of the West Coast and the spread and the run and shoot. And the, it's like, who are we? So that's what I'm enjoying. So here we go with Lockett. What you're going to see here is he comes up at the corner on the outside here, and then he gives what looks like it's going to be a little kind of hard pressing move here, and then he does what very few receivers will do. And I just want you to watch it before I talk about it. So just watch Lockett, who's now playing the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's playing the 5 position. Just watch Lockett. Comes at it. Now, most people with just kind of the naked eye don't notice it right off the bat, and I actually kind of zoomed it, made it a little bit bigger here for you guys. So as we watch it again from here, and then we're taking it to the end zone view to appreciate it, and I'll talk it through. What takes place is going to take place right in here, right in this pocket. It's very quick, but the checkoff play is an absolute play to Tyler Lockett. I mean, it is no doubt about it that whatever play he checked to, which is this one, it was designed to go to Lockett all the way. Metcalf is running a clear out across the way. Doesn't even matter what the other guys are doing, mostly blocking. And then Lockett, it's just 2 crossing routes. But Lockett does something that most guys don't do. So here again, watch Lockett. Right there, he did something that, again, very hard to see, but look at the separation. And people wonder, okay, if the guy was just chasing him in man-to-man coverage, and it's not like the DB got caught up in the wash, as we say, meaning usually if a guy gets that type of separation, because usually when we're watching the game, we only see this little box, right here. That's all we get to see on TV. We don't get to see after this guy, receivers are out here. This guy's close. They're in man-to-man coverage. He's tight with them. He's running with them. So how is it possible that Lockett has 4 yards of separation by the time they get to the far hash marks? Well, if we let this continue to play through, what you're going to see from the end zone view, and let me just give it a slide over, is Lockett now is right in here. Now he's just got himself set and ready to go, getting ready to run his play. Notice his feet. Remember we talked about how get your feet a little bit closer together? He was in a very wide stance. Now he's closer. I never saw Metcalf do that. So again, little things I hope if they've changed other stuff or he's working with a wide receiver guru. And when I say gurus, I'm talking about like guys that are coaching youth kids. NFL gurus, they know what they're talking about. For them, I would think so. I would hope so if you're paying that type of money. So what I've said about gurus in this show, I'm not talking about someone working with DK Metcalf. I'm talking about guys that are working with kids. Here we go. Watch Lockett. There's the check off after Lockett gave him the face mask thing. Now we're under center, which I love, man. I love when we're under center because that means we're going to do something on timing. Okay, here's Lockett's route. Under, right there it was. The Allen Iverson, little bit of a bonus piece here, right there.
That little juke.
Okay, and he does it. I mean, I every game I saw that there's a catch that he has. That every time he caught the ball on the other side of the field, it was like, because what I like to do, Norb, in terms of when I go through the progress of these, is I always watch the TV version first. So when I'm going back to find Tyler Lockett stuff, I know kind of some games he has big plays. I find out where those plays are in the game on the All-22. But before I watch the All-22 part of it, I watch just the game side view to go, okay, he got so open. Like I can't wait to see what he did. Well, every time I came to realize this is what it is, and defenses they still haven't figured out how to cover it. And you'd think like, okay, well, he's doing that step. Well, you can't overcompensate for it because then he's going to cut and go to the outside. So that's what makes the chess match so great. Is for every move there's a counter move to it. Like you counter punch to adversity, as we like to say. But as you see back here at the very beginning, as you saw, he comes right up the field, and instead of just going straight across, look at how his shoulders are squared up, and now he's right back to where he was, like he's breaking down a guy off the line of scrimmage. And just by doing that, look where he's already shot off his right foot, drove, and now he's into his first stride going where he needs to go. This guy just became flat-footed, and I've said, Norb, many, many times, what is the worst? This is rhetorical unless you remember the answer. What's the worst position a defensive football player can be in during a play?
Sideways, where the audience can read your number.
Yes, that's it. Anytime that the crowd or the sidelines, where you say if the sidelines can see both your numbers, you are not in a good defensive football position. Now, of course, there's times where you're turning and twisting. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you are defending a guy for a length of time, or you're coming up to make a tackle, or you're on the line of scrimmage. Like, look, notice every one of these guys, you can see their two numbers, but because we're in the end zone, Every one of them. You cannot see but barely the side of his second number. You wouldn't know what number. If you had just, like, Norb, you got to give up your house. If you can't tell me what one of his 2 numbers are, you'd probably have to give up your house. Okay, so.
I'm going to say there's a 3, but I don't know.
Yeah, you might not. But again, this is what makes him so great, is doing these things. And this is what you have to have in the West Coast offense, is guys that can get themselves open by knowing, what the extra little moves are that it takes to get to that spot. So the fact that he is able to create space, not before the play, obviously you can't do that, but in terms of, right before that play executes itself by getting off the line of scrimmage in a solid manner. He gets off, and then he gets off a second time, wide open. Now, I don't want to talk about plays too much, but we went from a shotgun play to a get under center play. We went from, I don't know what offense we're really running here. I could guess any of 3 or 4 types of offenses, to now we go under center. And I know anywhere you see a guy under center this nowadays and age, and in these tight formations, your play is based off of West Coast principles. It may not be called off of West Coast principles, but it's going to be based off of that. And so what type of play do you get? Just for a second, we can watch the quarterback. He's checked the play. They got the play. We got double tights. He goes back, play action pass, set the feet, throw it, on timing, boom. Like, I would be so happy. It's a 30-plus yard gain, right? 30-plus yard gain that we can do all the time. We can execute it, so that when people say, well, what makes you excited? And I've said it. I love the bootleg and the play action. And why does it work? Because your running game has to take place. It's a 2. In fact, let me just take you back real quick just to show you. So you can see the overall. Just look at the route. You got 5 receivers out there potentially. The running back has to do the running play. So it's a 2-man route, and you're only throwing to one person. And you execute it flawlessly. Yet how many times did we see 3rd and 4 with 5 wide receiver sets, which is spread offense? That's not West Coast offense at all. 5 wide receiver sets, 3rd and 4, and we couldn't complete it to save our life, right? And we're throwing it deep. We got 4 guys going deep. To where here, you know who you're throwing to. It's one-on-one. And tell me he couldn't have thrown to Metcalf if he wanted to throw to Metcalf.
He could have. Right? He had us 2 steps, 3 steps on him.
2 guys running the route, 7 guys protecting, play action, quarterback on timing. It is why I've always believed that the West Coast offense is the offense to be running. For Russ, it's not the offense for everybody. It's not the offense for everybody. But I've said since we kind of saw that Russ had it, and that he didn't have to be this super high volume passer with the great defense that we had. Like, hey man, I don't want to be a game manager. Like, not at all. Be the guy that is a pass first offensive guy, but knows how to throw those intermediate routes on timing, which he's phenomenal at.
Yeah,
he's absolutely phenomenal at.
I've been practicing throwing a lot of these crossing routes to Tyler Lockett in Madden, and it's just like that. It's a thing of beauty. So I hope they do that in real life, because, man, it's
Have you turned in your application to the Seahawks yet, to Schneider?
Oh, for passing game coordinators, assistants, simulator?
Yeah, Hydro technician. Remember I told you that I used to call it the Hydro tech. Anybody put in the bulletin, back in the bulletin paper, Coach Marsh is taking applications for hydro technician. See, I get so many freshmen coming to my door because all the older upperclassmen knew that was to be a water boy or a water girl. Yeah. Hydro technician, and that's what they'd put on the program. So, Norb, I think you'd be the Madden game technician.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me grab, I know we're not done yet, but I got Cameron Hughes in the Discord. Let me see if he's got a conversation. He's been very active on the chat. Let's see if he's got something in there. Cameron Hughes, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear. What you got?
You brought your name up before the show, man.
We were talking about you before the show, man, believe it or not.
Oh, really? I showed up late.
It was all compliments, so you better be careful what you say now.
Okay.
I'm kidding you. You're a good follower. You're a great follower.
Yeah, I've been watching for a while now. So my question was, I was doing some research when we drafted him. I wasn't too happy about the pick at the time, but the more I watched him, he reminded me. No, Eskridge. I got here late, so I don't know if you were talking.
Oh, we haven't jumped into Eskridge. He's coming up.
We were about one play away from going to Eskridge. But
go ahead. You kind of gave a little preface, a little foreboding into what we're going to talk about. So you didn't like him at first, but
I was watching the Seahawks channel posted the all 22 view of all of his touchdowns, and he reminded me of Percy Harvin. And since we traded him, I've been like wanting that Percy Harvin kind of player. And I thought we had it in Lockett, but then he broke his leg and he basically turned into a possession receiver. So I was wondering if you see the same in Eskridge, and do you think we will like design plays specifically for him?
So, Coach, before you answer that, that's probably a question to answer as you get into your breakdown about Eskridge. I'm going to assume you want to wait till I answer that to get into your breakdown.
Yeah, so
right?
I want to be careful to answer because it's obviously a great question, but it is something I'm going to talk about, like literally to a T, on that one.
So let's hold on to your question there, Cameron, and we will answer it. You'll probably answer it as you're going through your breakdowns because I think you guys are kind of talking about the same thing. So, great question though. So, Cameron, hang on there. We will answer that. So,
all right.
Let's finish up Lockett so we can get to Eskridge. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Coach.
Sure. All right, so I'm going to bump in here.
One more for Lockett.
Yeah, here it is. So, I mean, and there's obviously, when you're trying to pull off 5 to 7 plays on this show, when a guy's played more than a year, it's very difficult. So, obviously, I know that he had the tremendous catch, in the corner of the end zone when we were wearing the color rush jerseys, and he's had some spectacular plays. But we've all seen those plays a million times. So to me, it's about showing stuff that, evolves us as fans, it's fun for me. Like I'm always learning stuff too. It gives me such a deeper appreciation for these guys. And especially like you said, when you hear him talk and everything else, like he just understands the game, student of the game, all those things that you hear about. So here's what we're going to have here on this play. I think we're a little too big too. Sorry about that. Had to make a few last minute adjustments as we've gone. My bad. All right. So Metcalf's going in motion. Basically, all I want you to see is how Lockett deals with this. I'm going to show you the play. I'm going to let it run. It's going to be pretty obvious what happens and what I'm going to talk about on both kind of the good and the bad. Going up against Peterson. Stuff that you don't see during the game because in the regular TV, you can see this much and you can kind of barely see him, but you really don't see what took place. So again, try as best you can out there in the super chat world, or if you're watching this on a later date at some point, very easy to get caught up watching right here. And I always say your first instinct should be right off the bat is watch the lineman and then you'll see what the play is. But for right now, try and get your eye off of all this and just look at this matchup. Specifically, watch what Peterson does. He started back here at about 8 yards. It's a tremendous rotation of defense. So when Metcalf goes in motion, it's really kind of cool to see how the defense rotates, which I'll show you here a little bit. So they're moving. There's an adjustment to the defense. Everybody's shifting. So now they've done that. Now look at what takes place down here to our buddy Lockett.
I don't remember that. It's funny. I don't remember seeing that.
Crushed. And then look what happens here. Boom, traffic. And then guess who gets the ball, even though he's got a guy in his face? And you know the guy I'm talking about who's in his face? It's his own freaking teammate. Right? So you got a receiver who's run a very poor route in terms of, again, you usually don't have this receiver doing zigzag back. But again, athletically, this is, I think, some of the problem when you're looking, and I'm not saying I'm better than the guys who are coaching, but I look at this and go, why are we having, this athlete who is an athlete, man, he made it to the NFL, but are we using guys the way we should utilize them to become the best? Like you win championships because you're utilizing your players the way they should be utilized, right? That everybody knows that. So to have a guy running a route that's going to run into it, but to me, the fact that he did not close his stance, and I don't think he anticipated that he was going to get shoved off. And it's important that you remember this. Remember what I'm showing you here for this in a little bit here. He comes up. There he goes, popped. He didn't even see it coming. And now he's boom, in the wash. Now, you have a simple, nice little out route by your running back. You got Metcalf coming across here. But again, you got someone getting your way. Russ throws the deep ball. Okay, now it's 1st and 10. Wide open. Not open there. Plenty of nice pocket, plenty of time. So again, this is like, can Russ be disciplined? I don't want to get overcompensated on that stuff. He forces a throw, and yet a guy who just got jammed like no receiver gets jammed in the NFL smashed by a linebacker who's crossing his face trying to get to this guy on the outside. It's not that he sees this guy, but the fact that, he could think it's his ball. He's got, Pearson just right on him, playing fantastic coverage. And you know what he does?
He's just draped all over him.
He's all over him.
He's probably the most covered guy in this whole group. Patrick Peterson.
Norb, it's not even close, man. It's not even close. Because look who gets wide open. He is wide open. It's not that he doesn't get open. It's that he's running a route that's getting him over into this spot. You don't want guys getting in the same lane. Now, I think part of the issue is you hold the ball too long as a quarterback, you are going to get multiple. You guys are going to end up in the same spot because the field's only so long. You can't. He was probably supposed to. The play's probably designed to be thrown by the time he's here. Metcalf's here, and the out route's here. Because your running back's not supposed to be stuck on the sideline waiting for a ball either before you throw it. If you go back to the beginning of the play, just as a real quick piece, our running back is expecting the ball right here. Like throw it, don't throw it. I'm still open. Okay, never came to it. So I'm not going to get on him too much other than stay out of his way. But as you can see, draped. Now, to watch it from this angle, I'll get to it right here. Okay, ball gets thrown, easy toss. Here's what I love. Peterson did take a look back, but for the longest time, and Lockett spoke about that. I found a audio that Lockett was talking about this, and he's talking about a drill that, again, a lot of people teach. I love teaching it. He said, yeah, back when I was in high school, we used to work all the time on catching a ball without moving your eyes. And what he's saying there is, I'll just show you the rest of the play first. It's basically a one-handed snag that he takes place here. Easy toss, gets it, looks it all the way in, snag, catch. It's golden, right? It's brilliant. But what he's saying there is with his eyes is there's drills that you work on, and we used to do where we'd have a kid stand in the back of the corner of the end zone looking at the quarterback at the 3-yard line. Quarterback would take a one-step drop, throw it in the air, and that receiver who's standing in the back corner of the end zone would be staring at a DB who's between him and the quarterback only like a yard away. So the DB's back is to the quarterback, looking at the receiver, and that DB can see the ball going up in the air and coming down, and his goal is to try not to look, and then at the last second, go after it. As soon as the receiver moves, the DB can chop at him, tackle, do whatever he wants. But as long as the receiver catches the ball, he gets to stay there. So we called it King of the Hill. And you're teaching receivers to run, kind of move your head back. But if you tilt your helmet up, that tells the DB to turn and look. And definitely if you look your eyes up. Well, Lockett's been practicing that for at least a decade now. So when you learn how to see a ball without looking your eyes, because what are they taught? Hey, if you got contact, you're touching the guy, just keep watching him until his eyes look over the football, and that's when you turn around and look for the football. Little things like that is why this guy's, my favorite offensive player that we have, because he does those type of things beyond, and beyond the toe tapping and all those extra things that he works on. It's just very, very cool to see him do those type of plays.
Yeah. So in summary, it's a great catch and great technique by Lockett to get through all that stuff and still make the catch. But overarching is that Russell Wilson never should have thrown him the ball.
Funny you say that, because I did not ask you, Norb, because they know that you're an honest guy. I'm an honest guy too, but you're the most.
We didn't talk about this play. I didn't even know this play was going to be in here. I'm just going off of.
But you did not know that this play was going to be in here, that I wasn't going to bring up. I actually had just moved it in the break to the bottom because I was like, I don't want to force this one in here. The title of this play, I titled it Pass Pro versus Arizona. It's a Lockett play. And he's wide open. Don't watch Lockett on this one. Just watch the play. Just watch the play. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006. Now, I'll just leave it right there for a second. I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to show you how long Lockett and two other receivers were open and who he's probably looking for, or what have you, because it's somewhat old news. But is he going to be able to work himself out of that? You heard me almost count to 7 seconds. Even if I count fast, he's got 5 seconds.
Those are slow seconds, by the way.
Okay. Even if I'm right here, if Lockett's not there and he throws it as he's going down, potential, he's outside of the pocket, those things, but you still got to get it past the line of scrimmage. But his knee is so close to taking a sack right here. You know what people are going to say when they read the stat line on sacks, if that turned into a sack? That old
I thought he was sacked. He actually got the ball off. Was that a completion?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell from the. Okay.
Here you go. I'll let you enjoy it from here. Like, and it's only because you said that. Okay. Again, look at Lockett. Look at Lockett. Hey, Lockett. It's like when you're playing Nerf football with your buddies. Dude, I'm open.
Oh, this play. Okay, now we remember.
I'm wide open. Okay. I was so wide open. Why didn't you throw the ball? I was wide open. Well, because you're 3'2", I couldn't see you, and whatever excuses people used to make when I played, with them. I'm like, well, let me play quarterback because I can run really fast, scared. And that's when I got, that's when I started enjoying football and wearing number 10 and all those other things. But again, it just drives me crazy that wide open. Hey, look at me. Here I am. It's.
Yeah, it worked out, but it didn't have to be that.
It worked out.
It didn't have to be that stressful.
But the overarching piece is, look at his knee, right here, and boom, there it is. If that's a sack, this is what I mean when people start getting all over the offensive line. And I know you wanted to do the show where we looked at every single sack, and I told you the high percentage of sacks. I mean, I'm
still going to do that video. And then I'm going to have you react.
70% of the sacks were on him, where who knows how many more catches those guys can get. Which is why I think even though I said we don't want to have two receivers catching 100, receptions, probably not. It's not. We'd like to have it, probably not likely. Then again, if he's throwing the ball in timing and everything else, he's throwing it more than 30 times each game, because we already said that's still less than 50% of the time when we did the math last week on that one. You can see why I like this stuff, and if he gets disciplined and true to the form, it's Shrek. That's where the voice comes from. It's the old Shrek. Pick me. They're wide open. It's 5 seconds, but we would have been saying the O-line didn't protect and blah 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 blah. It's old news.
Well, and that's why I want to do this video, because I really want to break it up. I want to show that. So so that wrap up the Lockett section. Is that the
that wraps up the first 2/3 of Braveheart. They're just about to go to war.
So we're gonna go to Eskridge in a second here, but
and the Eskridge piece is brief because we're gonna do a full draft either next show or
right.
Because we don't know if who knows if they're still going to do something or make things happen. So I didn't want to go into all the players we drafted, and because it's still hyperbole on whether it's all going to make. But this first player we got, I was amped when we picked him for multiple reasons.
Cappy McCappy wants to know, how can I get this footage of games? Well, you have to. It's not free. You got to go to NFL.com and.
Wait. And what you have to do is you have to call them and say, this guy NorbCam does this show, and he uses your stuff. You guys should sponsor his show
instead of punishing me every time I use a clip. I don't know. We'll see if they punish me on this one or not. But So you got to go to NFL.com and then go into the film room or something. You have to subscribe to their film room.
There's 4 different screens. And the thing is, I don't want to be talking about I want to be really cautious for your sake, Norb. If I start talking about these, I'm giving free commercials. I might as well talk about Dick's Burgers or something. I can pick all sorts of random things. I don't want to get in trouble for. They're the best burgers around.
Anyway, go to NFL.com. You can check it out. We do have a couple people who want to call in.
Let's take it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Seahawks for Life, who's coached me up in Madden many times. We've won games together. We've lost games together. But today we're talking about the real Seahawks. Seahawks for Life, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about you?
Doing good.
All right. What is on your mind?
Why does Tyler Lockett do so well in Arizona that the announcers are saying that it's like his second home?
Huh. Yeah. Well, and he was spectacular in that Arizona game that we lost. You forget how spectacular he was in that game with all the catches he was making.
He was also spectacular in the 49ers game.
Well, he's a spectacular period. But, so you're asking, why is he spectacular in Arizona specifically?
Yeah.
Huh. Coach?
So I think, and this is going to be a little bit more philosophical. Whether you like it or not, that's what you get with me, right? You're not going to get the straight up stuff. You're going to get philosophical type answers. I think in life, everybody has things that when they show up to it, football, I'm relating it to football here, but you match up in life well with certain things, right? Certain people, certain places, whatever. You match up well. And then there's other things that every time you kind of show up to that, whatever it is, insert blank there, it doesn't work out well for you. In sports, you see it all the time where somebody just matches up well against somebody else. In baseball, there's always the guy that matches up well, batter versus the pitcher, or pitcher versus the batter, or pitcher versus team, or whatever. basketball, there's certain matchups. Football, you see it all the time where a player just because of the way the player plays versus the offense or defense they're going against, depending on the player you're talking about, they just match up well against it. There was always certain teams there were teams I didn't like going against, but there was always certain teams I didn't care to go against in a given year or two that I might have a really great player that I knew like, geez, that team really took care of that player his sophomore year and his junior year. And now it's maybe in the kid's head, and now is he going to play well? And then he doesn't play well against them. Conversely, a team just as talented on the other side, kid plays well his sophomore year, well his junior year, he's gaining confidence. By senior, it's like, man, you can't stop me. So I think Lockett, you start having some good games against teams, you just feel like you're unstoppable. It's a psychology. It's a psychology piece.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us at Green Bay. Like, why do we as 12 say, please, even if Aaron Rodgers leaves, it's like, please, no more playoff games at Green Bay. Like, just never again a playoff game at Green Bay.
In the same way the Green Bay fans are going, please, just no games in CenturyLink or Lumen Field.
Absolutely.
They're just as bad here. So
you switch the other way. And we all say, please, let's play Green Bay here because we actually run trick plays when we have Green Bay here. So that's it. That's the answer to that question. I think there's just you get certain matchups and you get confidence, and Lockett plays well. Conversely, like never send Norb to Arizona to watch a Super Bowl again. Like just don't ever. He doesn't match up well. Now New York, anywhere else, we can maybe send him or something, but never again.
I hate Arizona now. Arizona was looking like the coolest place to ever be, and then it now has become the worst place I don't ever want to go to. But New York, I love it. It's great stadium. Will always be one of my favorites. All right, good question, man. Good question. Let me get Yozyaz, who's in the Discord chat. Yozyaz, you got a question for the coach or me or both?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep.
So I don't basically have any questions. I was just gonna ask like when is the season for the Seahawks going to start?
Norb, that's a you question, man, because I know you are all over schedules and you're going to do an announcement from your car when the official schedule comes out.
They haven't formally announced it. It's coming up, I think, actually in a few days. They're going to announce isn't it May 12th? They're going to announce the actual schedule. So everyone's on YouTube is going to be all over that.
Here's another put your house up on the line question with regards to schedule, and I won't answer it now because it's a little lengthy. But do you know how the scheduling works? Like how they you can tell right now how it's going to work in a year and the rotation of it and everything else. There's how the formula works, regardless of where we finish.
I know some of it, but there's still some parts that I don't. Those teams that are sort of the ones that just kind of get snuck in, like the Carolina Panthers and these other teams that kind of get in there. I know there's a formula with how they.
So let me give you the quick answer to that.
Yeah.
How that works. So obviously you're going to play your own team twice. So there's 6 of the. Let's pretend we're still in the 16 game formula. There's 6 of the 16 games, and then you match up against a division in the AFC. So there's another 4 games. There's 10, and then you're going to play. If you finish in second place, you're going to play the second place teams in the other divisions. So why have we? And then there's a
that's what it is. Okay.
So why do we all of a sudden get Carolina like 3 years in a row, and then we don't see them for 8 years? Well, if we finish second, and then we face a team in we face a division, our division. So you got our division. And then you have another division in the NFC,
that we
and another division in the AFC, and then the second place teams. If we finish second, or the third, if we finish third, or the fourth, if we finish fourth. That's how they tried to years ago try to create the parodies. Have the first place teams play the first place team and everything else. So that's that filling game. So you can always, as soon as the season ends, you can figure out right away. Like, okay, we know who. It's just a matter of are they going to be home, or are they going to be away? But season over, who they're going to play. That's the insight. That's what you get on the show.
There you go. I knew something. I knew something to do with that, but I never actually knew exactly how that went. But thank you for clarifying.
And why people care, I don't. And the question was fine. Like the question was about when does it start, but like who cares who we're playing in December when we're all bummed out that we didn't make it further in the playoff? But some people right away like, well, who are we playing next year?
Hey, but you know why? Because some people plan their travel schedules going, okay, I know I want to go to that Arizona game, or I know I want to go to that game over at that stadium I haven't been to yet. And they want to know,
That's
when
why
do
I told my
I
wife-
when do I
I
plan
told my
my when do
wife-
I buy my ticket to go to Los Angeles? Because I do want to check out that Los Angeles stadium, man. I think it looks awesome. They haven't had any crowds in there yet,
Wait,
so I want to check it out.
You said the Los Angeles Stadium. See, now I was telling my wife, it's crazy. They've done this thing in the NFL where not only they add another game, all of our away games are against Las Vegas. So we're going to fly down to all of the Seahawks games that are away. And then when we get there and she's like, wait, the Seahawks aren't playing. I'm like, I don't know what happened. They must have changed out of it. I thought all of our away games were versus the Las Vegas Raiders, only because I want to go down and see that stadium.
I want to see that one too. Yeah.
That thing is a beast. All right. And we're talking a little bit because my piece on Eskridge is brief because we'll do an extended version. I want to show the comparables to Tyler Lockett and also where I think he fits when everybody was really, really upset. I mean, a lot of people were upset. I think not so much that we got him. I think we were excited, but like
the fact
whole,
that
we should have got a line.
The fact that he was the first one picked, right?
Yeah, well, he was the first one picked, and I got to be honest with you, man. I've grown weary of two topics, and I'm almost growing weary of a third one, ironically, which I didn't think I'd. If you'd have told me that in the fall you're going to be sick by May, you're going to be sick by May of hearing about the offensive line, I'd have said, yeah, well, that's kind of normal. But if you just said the two other things you'd be sick of hearing about are Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I'd be like, what are you talking about? It's May. Like, who? You're going to send out some videos from the Great Wall of China, or do some good work for people, and you're going to be doing some Nickelodeon show or something. It has been the craziest offseason ever.
And is it like mirror images of the same?
It's stuff
that they're supposedly griping about. I want more control over player personnel. I want to feel financially, valued.
I tried to do that with my boss the other day. I went in and said, hey, look, I'm the face of the franchise here. I want to I want to have say in this. And he's like, hey, that's great. Try another company. Go to another company. No, I didn't do that for real.
I would do that, except it's just me and Mike, so that'd be kind of a problem. But no, it's all good. But yeah, I know it's off-season drama. I feel like we're watching movies on rerun. They're just changing the names. But hopefully, well, we'll see how it all goes. But it's nice to not have the spotlight be on us for a while. Let Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
But it is, though, because they're constantly talking about it. Even today, they brought up Russell. They brought Russell.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
The same
But
stuff.
the heat is on Aaron Rodgers right now. Their focus, that's the topic of the week. That's the flavor of the month right now. So Russell's is second on the 31 flavors of Baskin Robbins. Aaron Rodgers is number one. Russell Wilson's number two. At least number one.
And the O-line thing is number three, which is why I was getting this.
Yeah.
It's the segue into this, right? Like,
all right, let's segue it.
Guys, like, enough with the O-line. Like, how do you really think an offensive lineman is going to come in his rookie year? Like, this is always my initial response. Yes, we need offensive linemen. How many rookie offensive linemen have been highly successful in their first year? And if you're a quarterback, if you're a $30 million quarterback, how much are you going to trust that left guard or center or right guard or whatever who's starting his first game in the West Coast offense for your Seattle Seahawks? I don't want that. I would want everything to be a free agent move. Don't tell me you're going to produce someone for down the road. We're going to win right now. So that's why I like the pick. Now, that doesn't mean a guy can't come in and by week 8, week 9, week 10, but you cannot throw a guy in, right. You just can't. The odds are against it.
Well, that's what makes Damian Lewis's performance last year that much more admirable, right? Or are you talking more the fact that they're installing a new offense, more on that side? Or are you talking about a new rookie lineman period?
I'm saying in the draft, in this draft, when we make our first selection and it's a wide receiver, or if it had been a corner, like those are the positions to me in the early rounds, unless it's just a mega kind of that guy that is kind of like a can't miss guy, especially in the round we were picking. And if we were trying to win right now, and an offense where you need 3 bona fide wide receivers for reasons I'm going to explain, then let's have that, and let's have the DB that everybody's been talking about. What I didn't want to see is us drafting. If we would have drafted an offensive lineman in the 3rd round, I would have said wasted pick. For the short term, it would have been, long term, short term or long term, grief for long term relief. That's all it would have been. Short term relief, and it took me a second to get because there's ways you can say that, different ways you can say it. Short term grief for long term relief, meaning that offensive lineman, if we draft him in the 3rd round, yeah, he probably blossoms and he helps us in year 2 or 3. But you know what I've said about where our quarterback is going to be in a year. Well, that's going to help that process. because he's not going to have trust and he's not going to feel like he's going to feel like he has to throw the ball quickly and everything. To where you get him a speedy 4.25 or a 4.3 guy who is not a number 3, which leads me into the piece here. I don't want people to refer to him as a 3. I know we were going to talk about Lockett or Metcalf as a 1. Lockett to me is a 1, but this guy Eskridge is like a 2B, a number 2B or a 1B, which is why I don't like the 1, 2, and 3 thing. And here's why. Would anybody say that Julian Edelman was a number 1 or a number 2 for New England over the course of time? No. That's why there are people arguing that he's not in the Hall of Fame, right? Or shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because during the regular season, he didn't get ball very much. Well, because New England was winning so many games, he didn't have to have the ball thrown to him, so his numbers aren't going to be that great. But when they had to win games and it was like do or die, then he became their number 1. And what made him great? Julian Edelman was a phenomenal special teams guy. Well, guess what Eskridge is? Phenomenal special teams guy. Okay, what else does Edelman do? People don't know that Edelman played 50-plus plays on defense. Not a courtesy Gronkowski get back there and let the Miami Dolphins beat you on a Hail Mary because you got just thrown in the last second. Like Edelman, there are videos of him crushing people as a safety on defense because he's like, I just want to play. I got to find a way to play. And, he's trying to take over guys' spots and they're not giving him the shot. So he's like, it's like Belichick was trying to find a way to get rid of him by putting him in these spots and he just kept stepping up. So now we get this kid who's special teams player of the year, 4.3 40 guy. He, along with 2 other guys that are running 4.3 40s, like this guy might be the guy who's running the jet sweep. This guy might be your crackback blocker. This guy might be the guy doing your punt returns and kickoff returns. This guy might be playing defense because he's tough as nails. So he can come in and in week 1, he can win a game for us. The offensive lineman that's a rookie won't. And there's not many other positions that can. Like, I think this guy is a steal for us. And Mid-American Conference, people, Ben Roethlisberger. There's a lot of other guys that came out of the Mid-American Conference. I think it's great. So that's kind of my opening monologue on D'Wayne Eskridge. I cannot wait for this guy to be in a Seahawks uniform because I think it allows us to be interchangeable because Lockett is interchangeable. Metcalf, not so much. Metcalf has still some things to evolve and grow, and he's our deep guy, right? He's the threat that keeps defenses honest deep, obviously. And here's what you get in the West Coast offense as I move to the illustration. The beauty of the West Coast, and I put up the tic-tac-toe boards before, so it has the 9 quadrants. You're always trying to attack at least 5 of those 9. You're trying to get your top 3 wide receivers moving through 5 of those 9 quadrants of a tic-tac-toe layout on the defense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, on play action and bootleg, it happens all the time. But now you have 3 guys that can hit 5 of those 9 in just the regular routes, and you're trying to always get deep, intermediate, and short by people that are not tight ends or running backs. Because when you can do that with your 3 receivers in the West Coast, have a threat that can get across the field, go to different spots, and now you've attacked 5 of the 9 quadrants, and you can get a guy deep, intermediate, and short. I mean, how do defenses cover that? And then you go tight end, block for 3 seconds, go to the flat. Running back, block or play action, slip them out on a Texas route. Like, again, I know I'm talking the perfection of the West Coast offense, but we have, in January when everybody is peeing their pants, and now look at us in May. Like, holy cow. We just picked up another guy that could get added to the offense right now. Crazy.
And I love the Percy Harvin. I love the Percy Harvin comparison. I'm not sure if that's what you're comparing him to, but
no, that's why I'm comparing him to Julian Edelman.
Okay.
After what I saw right here, and this is why. So I've got just a handful of things. It's not about the plays he runs. It's about these things right here. Now, just like any college player, we don't know how it's going to equate to the NFL. So I understand. Let's prerequisite what I'm going to show you with. I get that he's going up against little, Johnny. The DB in the NFL is going to be like, hey, I'm coming after you. The DB here is like, hey, I'm a little sophomore in college. How are you doing? It's a different ballgame, but you still have to have technique. So what does he do right off the bat in a game that tight ball game? They know he's the best receiver. He's the best player around. He's one of the fastest players in America. So they're going to jam him. Now, what did we just see happen to Tyler Lockett on that jam play where, DB comes up and he gets crushed? You know what you don't see at any level? You don't see the wide receiver who does that. I mean, he takes it to this guy on a pass play. He takes it to him. I mean, look at his reaction time. watch at the snap. Just everybody out there, try to watch the center. Keep your eye on the center, and you'll see him move. Watch his movement compared to everybody else who's closer to the ball than him at the moment of the snap. Boom. I mean, it's
quick.
Is it close? And he, contrary to popular belief, he can barely hear the snap count, if that. When you're that far out there, yeah, you can maybe hear it, but again, they're not playing at home. And all of a sudden,
he's watching the ball now.
He's got to watch the football, which is what you're taught to do. So the moment he sees that center flinch his hand and get ready to go, that's why it's not That's why it's not a legal procedure, man. But dude, right in him. Now the DB does a good job taking off, but what does the quarterback do? West Coast offense like? He doesn't wait to see him become wide open, which is, again, can Russ and these guys develop that type of trust? That Montana to Rice timing, or Young to Rice, name the other guys at West Coast that drop back to throw it before the receivers made the break, because they trust that the guy who's running the route is going to be in the right place. They all know that this route's going to be a certain yardage. So he better get to that yardage however he can, whether if it's a clear takeoff, he can run it 5 yards further and come back to where he needs to be. Jam coverage, run it 2 yards further. Something like this, maybe he's got to run it and turn right at the spot. But this quarterback drops back, throws it. He just had come out of his break. Look at the separation there now. Again, I don't care if the guy is a third grader out there. Well, okay, third grader maybe too much. But out of the chute, boom. And then he's on the guy's right on his hip. And when he breaks off, do you know how quick that break has to be for him to have a 3 to 4 yard cushion? Hey, but guess what? What did I talk about at the beginning? The final piece for a wide receiver beyond the get off, the route running, the catching of the ball is yak. Yards after the catch. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya, right? I mean, holy cow, what we just saw on that one play alone. Last time I played. Didn't go straight out of bounds, got an extra 2 yards there. Man, I saw that when I didn't know who this guy was before the draft. I mean, I heard his name, but I had never watched a single play on him, because I didn't watch much college football this year because it's hard to tell when it was because everybody's playing at different times of the year. But even at that, you always hear, oh, he's so fast. That's all I was hearing at the draft. 4.340, 4.340. Okay, well, what else can he do? Because Carroll's not getting a guy because he's a run of 4.340. Okay, so now, Norb, what have I said about DK on deep balls? 1 billion times. He
needs to be able to high point, right?
Man, I love it. You are you're the Nick LeBeau of this show. You pay attention. If there was a curve, if I was grading on a curve in this class, you'd be setting the curve.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks very much. I pay attention. I do my best.
Hey, and you know what? You're going to do that probably too. You're going to go out to your kids tonight too and be like, hey, Daddy's got something to show you. Like, it gets addicting to do the words. Watch this, man. Again, these are in order that I found. That I end up watching a ton of stuff. These are like the first handful of plays I found. And this is why I was saying Edelman. Not Edelman now. I'm not saying he's Julian Edelman now. But I'm saying this is, if you're going to compare people to who they're going to be or might be, it's unfair to connect anybody to somebody out of the draft because you just don't know how they're going to relate. But because of the skill sets and the other stuff he does that I'm not showing you on, special teams, everything else, man, oh man. And I just love, when I heard him talk, like, dude, this guy's got it. But look at this. Okay. He's the best player. High point catch. Holy cow, man. Like, and this is, here you go. This back to back. Okay. He goes up, he gets the high point catch. There's a penalty. They go back the very next play. Boom. High point catch. And I'm telling you, the route that he ran on that second one, okay, is a hard cut square where he went in and out of his break like you wouldn't believe. They don't show it on this little angle. I was able to get a different spot. He runs about a 17-yard square in, and I mean, the speed by which he breaks in, and it had nothing to do with his legs. Nothing to do with his legs. He pumped his arms so hard at the shoulders, not hammering for all you young guys that are taught to pump your arms really fast, and the coach is teaching you, and they're hammering. This guy gets there, and it's like he never breaks stride. It's full speed. That's
what I noticed after he high pointed it. He hit the ground, and a lot of times the guys jump and they fall, and they just fall to the ground.
His balance is crazy.
He just starts. He's like he never lost stride. He just starts running
look at
again.
This. Okay, high circle. He catches the ball. I'm stuttering there because I'm so dang excited. I love wide receiver play. Turn circles. He stays in his line, Norb. It's like Lynn Swann in the Super Bowl where he caught that ball. He stays in the straight line he was on when he went up in the air. And then he comes back the next play after the penalty, runs the square in, catches at the high point and does exactly what you just said. He stayed in the square line, found his hole, got the yardage. Man. Now, famous play last year that was up for debate on whose fault is it. And I think it was Nick LeBeau who came up with the stat, or somebody came, like in the year or with the years or whatever, since they've been running this screen type of pass, there'd not been a pick six in however many hundreds of throws or whatever. Now, there's no threat of a pick six here, but this kid, when I do wide receiver clinics this next year, if we're able to, I've been doing some small ones on Zoom, but if I'm able to go back and do the fun ones I was able to do in the past, this is the guy I'm going to be showing. Some of Lockett, but this guy already, man, whether he makes the Seahawks or not, his stuff is unreal. Either his college coach coached him right, his high school coach coached him right, combo of the two. I hope the Seahawks coaches don't screw him up. Like sometimes coaches want to coach just because they want to coach. And it's like, dude, like he knows what he's doing. It's like guys that want to change a quarterback's arm mechanics after he's throwing for 4,000 yards. But hey, you're the new quarterback coach at the college, so have him change his elbows. No, man, if a guy wants to strum the guitar with the thing up, then let him do that. If he wants to strum it down, let the guy be himself. But watch this, man. Drive step. Like, look at that drive step. Everybody in America thinks he's going off the line. So first we get what we didn't get on the play when we were running it before. Drive step, circle up, catch the ball. You know how many guys don't do that even in the NFL? They hop up or maybe hits their face like that. Look at how quick he caught it and brought it down, Norb. Catch, boom. Because if you have to practice that. A coach has to train you on that, but then you have to practice that a million times, which tells me his work ethic is off the charts. You don't just go out and do that. You practice that. Catching the ball, circling up, bringing it down, because now you don't know if a guy's about to drill you. And he didn't know which way he was going, which is why he didn't tuck it. He knew to bring it down and square level, as we say. Bring it down square level, see what you see, and then tuck it to the side you have. But here's the beauty of it. Remember what you just said about him when he came down after the high point catch?
Yes, in stride.
Check this out, man. Check this out. Great, and boom, juke, and see ya. I don't care who you're playing against.
Jeez.
You don't run through dudes like that. Again, I get that it's mid-American conference, but how many guys have him walled off? He runs through the alley, and two safeties are coming hard at him, and they can't get to him. All these dudes were all state guys out of high school and everything else. Crazy, man.
He is quick, crazy, man.
So here we go. This is one of my favorite things I saw, because now you look at the whole play. He just runs a simple slant. Simple slant, gets the ball. He could go this way, but he sees this guy has an angle. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make sure I got the count correct this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're coming. Ooh. I'll just go back the other way. Dude. And here's what I love. This is before I go to the last one. This is, to me, why he will make the team. This one play. And and I won't share it, but I talked about Connor Black before. Like, there were guys that I would send one play to the college before they would come recruit the kid and say, hey, this play should epitomize everything you're looking for in the player, because it's going to tell you what his teammates think about him. It's going to tell you what this. And our rule was start the film a second before the play, let the film run for 2 seconds after the play. But I'm talking, can you see something in the play that tells you this guy's teammates love him? They'll work hard for him. Watch when he makes the cutback. That is guys that, again, if you're at USC, you know that if you don't do this, the guy behind you is going to take over. You might never see the field again. Mid-American Conference, and there's another. It's just like, I love seeing that stuff because it tells me that guys love this guy. Guys love this guy so much that dude, look at the whole line. And I know I'm overdue, but man, like, well-coached team, all this stuff. But watch the linemen, like, they're amped. Like, they're all like, yeah, that's our boy, let's go. They're all they're sprinting down there because they know the guy's electrifying. Like, if they make lame, if someone makes a mistake, like if you're a real leader, deflect the credit. And then there's times where, you celebrate what you do, be proud of it. Man, this guy shows it all. Like, and that's why I say the Edelman, but like Percy Harvin is it is a very good connector, right up to the point where you're talking like, who is that fire, that spitball that everybody played hard for? Like, dudes played hard for Julian Edelman. Okay, last two quick pieces. No, don't need this one. This is what I want to end on. Just because I thought it was a really great view to see what he does. Coming off the line, using his body. Norb, what's my favorite thing for a wide receiver to do? Right? Dude, that's why you do it. And anybody who's listening, I call everybody dude. It's what I've done. They get nicknames or what have you. This to me, I'm just gonna play it one last time as we finish off here. To see him come off and wrap around and do that right there. I mean, I feel like we just got ourselves. I'm gonna stop short with saying the best receiver on the team. So listen closely out there in the super chat when I say what I'm about to say here. The best rookie of the 3 receivers that we've had. And look how the other 2 have turned out and are turning out. And Lockett is a stud, and he was a stud when he came out, and I think he's, like, I hope to God that this guy is everything that Lockett was when he came out of college. But we didn't really know Lockett. We didn't know a lot about him. Now we're going to know a lot about this kid. This is why he's not the number 3. I don't think he's number 3. Pete Carroll talked about it a little bit, without giving away some of the secrets. Like, yeah, we're going to move him around. We're going to do some different. You're darn right you're going to I hope they put him in the backfield. Run some toss sweeps to him or do something, like, get the guy the ball. So that now you got to get this guy 8 to 10 touches just because he's a speed threat on the jet sweep, on the crossing stuff. And where did Julian Edelman make his money over the course of time? He made it on pivot routes and the routes where he came down the line of scrimmage in Super Bowls and caught the ball and ran 3 yards for touchdowns. He made a living off that. Catch the short route, get extra yards. So that's why I hope Russell is 22 of 27 for 840 yards, because all those passes were like dink, 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 and a couple of deep ones to DK. But those dinks were to him and to Lockett, and let them do the running. And we already saw that DK can do it too. So that kind of is the merging of a West Coast offense, a player in a Tyler Lockett. We know what we have in DK. Now we got this. The future breakdowns will be, utilizing we've talked about running back, but utilizing like tight end, because I've always said tight end is the most underrated position, not in football. Tight end to me and to many coaches is the most underrated position in all of sports, because it requires it's a required position in most offenses, right? You got to have a tight end. So you either you know how to utilize them or you don't. And teams nowadays are running a lot of nickel and dime, which means you've got big athletes going against small. You cannot win the argument of my defensive player is better than your tight end. Because if you're playing with a linebacker, my tight end will be faster than your linebacker. And if you're playing with the little DB, my tight end will be bigger than your linebacker, which is what made Gronkowski so awesome. And we've got ourselves a tight end too. So yeah, I'm a little amped here. I know
we haven't even talked about him really yet.
No, and I've saved tight end for that because I've said that I want to prove to the crowd why I think that the tight end, and again, I'm not just saying it. People have said that for years, that the tight end is the most underrated position because nobody utilized him well. But who did utilize him? Oh, the Super Bowl winning team of multiple years, all the time, right? Oh, and then who won the Super Bowl the last go? Oh, Kansas City. Oh, they had a stud of a tight end, right? Oh, who went the year? Oh, San Francisco. Oh, they had a stud of a tight end. So there's kind of your radio tease of why tight ends are important.
As expected, when you make some bold statements and bold predictions about things, you're going to get some pushback in the chat. And somebody says, Consumer 114, LOL, is this guy really saying he is above Metcalf? Coach?
So, and here's the thing. I would, if you say that, and I love those type of things. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, go back and see the breakdowns that we've done. And I'm saying as a whole, Metcalf, if we're just going to take it with speed and you're going to show the play that he chases down Buda Baker and all that, yeah, Metcalf is a freak of an athlete. And I love who Metcalf is as a person. I love his story. I've said it millions of times. But even now, I think you've converted yourself, Norb, into who's the best blocking receiver on our team, and then who's second, and who's third, and then where does DK fit? He's not in the top 3 blocking wide receivers. Let's talk route running. He's not in the best 3. Why do you think? And this is to answer whoever asked the question directly, and it's a good question or challenge. Like I like the pushback, but here's the thing: DK could have sent out a video the other day of him doing anything. And you know what he put out? He put out a clip of him running routes with commentary of how he's working on getting better at running routes. It wasn't him running. What did we see last year when he and Russ were showing stuff? All they were showing was DK going deep. And then what did we get? First 8 games, we saw a lot of deep, and it was fantastic. And then you know what teams figured out? Let's stop the deep ball. And let's see if the Seahawks know what they're doing, what their identity is. Can they make adjustments at halftime? Can they we couldn't do it. So that's why I'm saying, yeah, this, and if you heard me, I said, as a rookie. This kid is a better rookie coming out than DK was as a rookie coming out, but DK had back injuries and all those other things. So if you're going to take rookie to rookie, it's not even close. This kid is better than DK Metcalf. And I think he'll evolve, but I think if you do it right, you're having two different types of wide receiver. We have to start looking at it, and this is more in general. Like, stop looking at offensive linemen as offensive linemen. The center position is drastically different than the left tackle. Walter Jones would not have been he might have been Hall of Famer, though, if he moves to center. Conversely, take a center, the greatest center of all time, Mike Webster, Pittsburgh Steelers. He even said, if I had played guard or tackle in my career, you'd have never known who I was. Okay, those positions are just as different as quarterback to running back or anything else. So when in this offense, it's not the old Houston Oilers run and shoot where you needed 5 Smurfs because they're all running hitches and slants and everything else. You have to have distinguished receivers. So DK needs to be the deep guy that knows how to do that and has some good running route ability. But he better learn how to block, because you know what we're going to do 60% of the time? We're going to run the ball. And Lockett just proved that he can crush guys on blocking. So yeah, easy for me to in a fun conversation, because I don't take it personally. And I hope nobody out there, like, you take this stuff personally, don't take this stuff personally. I love the debate, because but I also do my research on. Like, I do my research on. You could think DK's better. That, like, 80% of Seattle thinks DK's better. The pundits out there, they were saying Lockett needs to go. Like, I watched tons of videos of people, Lockett needs to go with this new offense. Back when we had Waldron, and then I showed the thing when we were talking about. There was one play I showed him blocking when we were talking about DK. And all of a sudden the comments and people were texting me like, I didn't realize Lockett was so tough. And so I'm like, well, yeah, like, he's ornery, man. Because
we just don't see it most of the time.
Soft-spoken guy.
Usually we don't see it on TV because we can't see what's going on away from the ball because the camera doesn't
we all
show it
thought
half
Russell
the time.
was this sweetheart of a guy too, right? Well, he changed a little bit. So yeah, just because guys act one way. I do have to note though on this right here as a quick. My freshman year, Miami University, Miami of Ohio, where Ben Roethlisberger went to school. That's where I went to play before I finished. I don't like talking about my playing days and all that other stuff. But that's why I'm a big Mid-American Conference, the MAC. It's changed, it's evolved a little bit. But first game was at University of Michigan, which only has 107,000 fans. That was quite an eye opener for a little freshman.
All right, we do have a caller here, Chris Carson, the GOAT. We can say that because he is back with the team. I'm excited about that. Chris Carson, the GOAT.
Before I just want to say one more thing on the DK thing.
Oh, yeah.
We have done a disservice to DK because we implemented an offense and did some stuff where we tried to make him this flashy. I mean, people that argue with me about the DK thing, you know what play I tell him to go to? I say, go to a play where he has a chance. Now, he ended up catching the winning touchdown later. But let's look at the play where he was in the back of the end zone and a ball hit him in the face mask on national television. And you tell me that guy is a receiver that's high echelon number one, whatever, right? Well, but we did a disservice to him because we've sent him on so many deep routes that we didn't help him evolve into a great route runner because he just relied on speed and get open. How many times did we see balls that were 1 against 2 or what have you, and the 5'5" guy? Remember the one show we did, and they were on a little bit of that, and all of a sudden DK Metcalf jumped higher than ever. His feet are at the guy's waist, but DK's arms are down at his own waist, and so he's trying to catch a Hail Mary down here while the 5'7" guy is out jumping him. Right? Those are the things that make me say that he's not as good as these guys, but will be, because if he learns how to do those things, DK could be the number one receiver in the NFL without a doubt.
I think what it is that he's physically he's blessed with more physical gifts than any of the guys we're talking about, but his techniques just need to be more refined in many levels, from footwork to. And
he's a 4.3 40 guy who's a specimen. If Tyler Lockett took his shirt off when he met Pete Carroll, people be like, well, we drafted that little weasel. Like, what's he going to do for us? But hey, we saw DK Metcalf and his big rocks, and again, we'd all like to look chiseled, and we finally have a guy in Seattle like isn't Mr. Nice Guy. Like, he looks like a tough, even if he's nice.
Not to mention how long we've been longing for that number one big-bodied receiver. How long we talked about we never had one, right? So it's
absolutely.
Like the thing we've been coveted for so long finally arrives. You feel like we got it.
Which I don't understand, because I want to get to the question, but do you remember the receivers we had when we won the Super Bowl? Like that when we won the Super Bowl, I mean, our receivers were undrafted guys and guys that were mighty mites like this. You get the flashy guy. If he doesn't know how to do the routes, look how long it took for. I mean, you only get a few of those guys that really make it happen. The T.O.s and Randy Mosses and those other guys. For every one of those, there's a lot of other big dudes that you think are going to do it because they run a 4.340 and they're big, but they don't know how to run routes. They don't know how to block. They don't understand the offensive philosophy. They don't know what to do when a play breaks down. You know who catches the ball 3 out of 4 times? Legitimately, analytics tell you 3 out of 4 times when a play breaks down? Tyler Lockett. Why is that? It's because Tyler knows and understands what to do when plays break down and where he needs to go spatially. It's not just, run back towards the quarterback and the deep receiver go deep and the short receiver go. No, you got to find space. You got to create space. That's why he was so wide open against Minnesota when we were playing in the 3rd coldest game in the history of the NFL. And then a kicker who we end up taking later, goes wide left. So those are little things that, again, easy to say that DK is the guy, and I love him. I think he can be the number 1 guy. But I love that we just picked up this guy for the offense we run.
Right. Well, we have
a number 3 receiver. If you're going to say 3, we have a number 3 receiver. I don't think if you're going to say number 3, he's not our number 3 guy. He's got to be someone that fits in somewhere else.
Well, the chat is very spicy. The chat is humming. So, Coach, you'll want to read some of this after the fact because there's some good stuff in here. A lot of back and forth going on. But we do have to prevent Braveheart length show here. So let's get to the call from Chris Carson to GOAT. He's been waiting patiently. Chris Carson to GOAT, you're up. What's on your mind? Oh, don't tell me Chris Carson to GOAT's gone.
Well, we're waiting for Chris Carson to go. I want to reiterate again for the millionth time because I don't see super chat stuff at all until afterwards. I'll check it out. Again, my relating to DK and to Tyler is based on, let's say he's 20 years old. I'm saying him as a 20-year-old versus Tyler as a 20-year-old versus DK as a 20-year-old. He's not better than DK right now. He's not better than Tyler Lockett right now. I'm saying as a prospective NFL player who's coming into our team, who's coming into an offense that we know, who's coming with a quarterback who is continuing to evolve and get better. This is another one of those sky's not the limit, as I like to say. I don't like to say sky's the limit. Sky is not the limit. Like, this guy can keep on evolving. So if DK's going this way and Tyler's going this way, he may end up going this way and over time bypass those guys. But I want to make sure that I'm articulating people out there understanding. I'm not saying he's better than DK right now, but he's got some traits that could bypass him because he can run deep. Carroll said it himself. We're going to stretch defenses with him, hit him on intermediate stuff, and then we've got some wrinkles that we're going to use him. He's talking like he's made the team, and there's, he just said the 3 quadrants of the tic-tac-toe that I just mentioned. He said that in his press conference talking about him. He doesn't say that about DK. That's what I'm saying. As a rookie, how do you not get excited about that?
Well, you got some people in the chat getting your back, man. So you have to read to see whose sides they pick on. So Chris Carson the GOAT. I don't know if he's there. Chris Carson the GOAT. Last chance? Nope. Being shy? That's all right.
It wouldn't be fun if we all agreed, man. What would we sit there and talk about? It'd be too easy.
And the best part about this is nobody can prove it until we actually see the product in the field and a few years go by. So eventually we will get to...
How many all the number 1 draft picks, there's going to be at least half of them that don't pan out after 2 years. They'll be gone, right? I mean, he could be awful. He could get in the NFL and all of a sudden he just can't do it. Okay, I'll take my hits. The difference is I'm willing to say it. It's too easy to jump on the DK bandwagon and the Russell Wilson bandwagon. I'll say what I think because I don't think Russell takes it personal if I say something that he needs to work on that he already knows that he wants to work on and stuff. Like, it's not that big a deal. It's fun.
Yeah. No, it is. It is fun. And we'll have to. I think we'll have to do. I did this with some of the other viewers on a fan panel, but we need to do some predictions. We need to do some, just so we can see how right or wrong we are at the end of the year. Because there's so many times when it comes to weathermen and draft experts and people make all kinds of predictions, but no one ever holds them accountable because they just kind of lay it down and go, oh yeah, he really knows what he's talking about. And at the end of the day, people just kind of forget and move on, and you always wonder, well, how much was he right? How much was he wrong on? And it's fun to put and then look back at it and actually see, oh, you were right on this one, and when you were wrong, to see when you were wrong. I'm not saying you personally, in general, to see how things play out.
and I know this is going to sound like I'm some gambling guy because I did the Las Vegas reference earlier, but you know, like when people people always love to say, "Oh, I won," you know, this, or "Oh, I had that," you know, like because the Kentucky Derby was just the other day. "Oh, I had that winner," and they fail to tell you the other 99 times that they didn't predict it right. So that's why when we're talking about stuff like when I'm saying that Russell Wilson is going to be gone within a year, I don't hope that he's gone. Like, of course I want him to stay. Like everybody beat me to a pulp when I said that back in January, and then everything hit the fan, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, maybe I do kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit, but I didn't even care about that. To me, it was more like in a year, anybody who's connected to NorbCam is going to remember that I said, and not me, I'm not saying like, hey, look at me, but that I did say, hey, in a year, I think he's going to be gone. If in a year we look back and I'm wrong, great. I hope I am wrong. But no one's going to remember everybody who said, oh, no, he's staying. My prediction is he's staying. Well, everybody's saying that. So I come on the show and I try to find things that I know will kind of get riled up, but I also know people will remember those because I can find 80 Seahawks things that I agree with everybody else for the most part. But I'd rather find the things that I want to kind of go, hey, I'm going to challenge you guys to come at me with this, like this thing that I'm going to give to you. I'm going to show you this, to say this, so that you could be thinking about this over the course of time. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So be it. But at least I had the courage to put it out there, right?
And,
so
that's what they call a hot take.
It's a hot take.
Coach Marsh's hot take right there. But yeah,
and I do want to do a live show. I want to do a live show where we just take like calls, like maybe I just sit and watch the super chat of questions, right? And just respond to every chat that comes by. Do so many things, but to just, we just got to do like an hour special where they can call in, ask questions. I'll bring 10 hot topics, and it's not cutting back and forth to tell the straight and everything else. You and I just sit next to each other virtually and take the calls, and I'll just throw stuff out, and you can be Mr. Nice Guy, and you can be Howard Cosell, and I'll be.
Well, and I do ask Norb. In fact, I'm going to do an Ask Norb on Thursday. Thanks for the little pitch there, which is kind of like what that is, where I just open it up and take whatever questions people have in the Discord or on a call-in thing, and maybe that's what we need to do. Is we don't come in with the agenda and the syllabus. We take the syllabus and throw it out, and we go, today you guys drive the bus. We're just going to see what your questions are. We're just going to respond to everything that comes down the chats or through the phone calls and see what comes from it. I think it's a great idea. People love that.
I love it. And here's what I would say if you're going to do, because I love debates, man. Like, to me, debates are fun, but I don't get heated in them. Like, I think that's why people enjoy having debates with me on sports stuff and everything else. Like, I love the Mount Rushmore of things that we used to say, for different, who's the Mount Rushmore of this and who's the this or that. So to me, like, doing that, but to me, the fun part is not the initial sentence of I think this or I think that. It's here's my support of that. Like, I say that this guy's doing it, but I'm lucky that I get to sit right here and tell it straight and look up stuff and show it. So, like, if someone wants to come on and say that DK's the guy, like, by all means say, like, I love that if you think DK's the guy, like right now I would say DK, but I might put Lockett ahead of DK. I'm not saying this guy's ahead of him. But then I want to hear, like, why. Like, don't just say DK's better than those two. Okay, well, why do you think that, man? That's what makes it fun. Like, tell me, give me a fact. Back it up, man. That's what makes. I'll pay attention to that person. It's the person that just says it, and then they don't say anything the rest of the show or anything else. Like, all right, that's easy to say that, but put yourself out there with some facts, so at least you got something to go on. Like, that's what makes it fun.
It's funny we just having that conversation because I just was telling my kids about when I was in debate in my senior year. And so I did debate, and for those of you who don't know how debate works, I don't know if it's still the same, but back in my day, you'd have a two-person debate team. So it'd be me and my partner against another two-person partner, and usually have predetermined topics that you would discuss within a certain realm of a statement that you had to create cases for or against. But the whole thing about structured debates was you go in there, you express an opinion, but you've got to back it up with evidence. And then you get the fun part of cross-examining the other person. So when they make a point, you get to say, well,
you have to listen. You had to actually
what do you have to say about this? Just
too.
like what these cross-examinations on the chat are basically saying. Well, what do you mean, Coach? How can you? What do you mean by that? DK? How can you say this rookie is better than DK? Well, then you got to respond, and then you got to back it up. And that's the fun part, is trying to find evidence to back it up. And in this case, you have the videotape to show as cases of.
And the video doesn't lie, as they say.
The video doesn't lie. However,
you nailed it.
The video doesn't lie, Coach, but you can help the video sweeten your case by selectively choosing plays that make you look really good. Because it's amazing how if you take everybody's highlight tapes, I mean, I could take so I'm like an okay volleyball player, right? I'm not great, definitely not great. I'm not horrible. I'm somewhere in the middle. But if I take my best plays and put it all in a row, you'd be going, dang, Norb's a pretty good player.
So do you remember what I used to say at the banquets before you played the highlight videos? And for those of you who don't know Norb or anything like else, I've put a couple things on my little channel, but I've been cutting up a bunch of them to start doing like a splash run of the stuff that you and Mike did back in the day for many, many years of our games. So they created the best, I mean, without a doubt, the greatest highlight videos in America. And I'm not lying. I had friends at Modern Day that were coaching De La Salle, the best high schools in America. And even they were saying like, dude, your videos are off the charts. But we used them twofold, right? It wasn't just create these epic things. It was, we wanted them for coaching purposes and all this other, like, so it made it fantastic. But I also used to say at our banquets, when we get ready to show it, I would ask people, if you haven't been at any of our games or you haven't paid attention to us, you're going to really enjoy this highlight video, because what you may not know is that we were undefeated and unscored upon based on this highlight video. Right? Because of course we're not going to show another, and then people would watch, we'd pick a game or two and make you'd make an awesome little story out of that one game besides all the highlights. And they'd be like, wait, you guys are up 14-0. And then all of a sudden it showed the scoreboard and it was 14-14. Like, and I'm like, well, do you really think we're going to show our defense getting crushed or show our guy getting run over? So yeah, of course you can sweeten the pie, which is why I try to be somewhat neutral. With Russell, with others.
But I will bring up the other point is where the tape doesn't lie. Because I'll show my kids some plays that I think are really good. Like, oh, watch this kill of mine. And my girls are good. They're better than me because they have been playing much more. They've been coached up properly where I have not. So they know the technique. They know the footwork, the arms, everything like that. So when I go up in there and do it, even though I tell them what they should be doing because I'm one of those parents, but when I go and do it, they'll watch my tape and right away go, oh, what are you doing? Why are you stepping with this foot? Why are your arms not back before you do the approach? Yeah. How come you don't put this arm up? They know immediately what I'm doing wrong, and it only takes maybe 1 or 2 moments to know. But a lot of times it's knowing what to look for, and that's what I like about this show, Coach, because you could show me, I could play at all 22, but if I don't know what I'm looking for, I would just go, that's pretty good. Look at that catch. But I won't necessarily know from all the stuff from the moment the snap is done, what he did with his feet, what he did with his arms, what he did between A and B. I just might look at the result. But that's what's great about this is being able to look at it through Marsh-colored glasses, because you can know what to look for. And hopefully at the end of the day, when people have finished watching this, they might, including myself, feel a little bit more aware of things that give you some insight as to what makes for better fundamental football technique and scheme and things like that versus not so good stuff. But that's what that's why I call it.
That's why I call it football 501, right? I mean, if it was football 101, it would be, as my old biology teacher in high school used to say, "Today I'm talking at you," meaning like there's no debate about this. Like he's going to just teach and we're going to listen and that's it. And then there'd be days where he'd come in and say, "Today I'm talking with you." Meaning, go ahead and challenge some of these thoughts and whatever. And in science, obviously, is a little bit more tough. But I took that into my coaching and teaching, from a standpoint of, I want to talk with these people. So when I would do these classes for the parents or anything else, I'd call it football 101 as well early on in my career. And then I realized, like, God, it makes it sound so basic or whatever. I'm gonna call it football 501 because I want them to ask questions. I want them to know that I'm trying to give them an appreciation for how to watch the game. But as you said, it's through how I try to watch the game, through how a lot of coaches, but it's not the only way to watch the game. But that's different than, come on and just say, hey, this is the way it needs to be, which is why, I hope that people would come on and see that what I'm trying to show is an appreciation for how does the Lockett get so open so often? Because a lot of times, like, people do kind of wonder, but then the game's going so fast, you don't come back to it, or why did something go wrong? Hey, we're all blaming this guy and they didn't say in the game that it was this or that. Well, like the color analysts, Romo does a great job. Your dad does a great job, but they don't have time to really look and see what truly happened. They're just trying to give you a quick, high-level view of what they see, and they're great at it, right? They're awesome at it. So when you have time to break it down, again, I try not to put stuff out there that's like totally, hey, you hate this guy, which sometimes people have taken it that way. It has nothing to do with hate or like. It's like, hey, let me just show you what I'm seeing. But I'm not afraid to call it, because that's what I did. My job as a coach was to not let the little things slide. It was a tar boxism. We owe it to you to coach up the little things. Now, I'm not coaching up these guys, but that's why I think coaches fail or businesses fail. And I learned that through time. Like, people are successful when they point out the little things and try to get better at them, including myself. Like, I got to get better at the little things. Easy to fix catching a football. Like, every dad takes their kid out and teaches them how to catch the football. What dad took their kid out, and I didn't do it, took their kid out and taught them how to, like, break down their arms and run a route, or, hey, go against that tree and try to block it, or, like, right? We don't teach those things. So now we have film, and now that film is live time, like, that's what's great, that you can get coached up even at our elderly ages, that you can go play volleyball and have your kids come down and say, hey, Dad, look at the film. Like, you think you're doing it right, but let us tell you. So, like, that, I love that Luke can coach me up in something, because he can take film and show me. So that's the appreciation, the value, all those things. The football 501, that you can challenge the thoughts and what I'm saying, because I'm presenting something for you to appreciate.
So I got acknowledge in Paul Third in the super chat says Sherm is re-signing with 49ers, apparently, thumbs down, he says. But then I see a lot of people saying, no, that's not official. Where are you hearing this? So I have not seen anything official about it, but that's what he puts in the chat. So a lot of people responding to it. Obviously, there's been a point of debate about people wanting him to come back to the Seahawks and, this and that, but I'll have to keep an eye on that one. It's kind of like,
and my
a lot
take
of guys
on those,
floating
man.
out there. KJ Wright floating out there. Richard Sherman floating out there.
Well,
Earl
KJ
Thomas
Wright's
still
different
floating
because
out there.
KJ Wright's playing for us, but Richard Sherman, to me, and I really don't have an opinion either way on Richard Sherman. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't have an opinion. If we sign him, great. If we don't, great. Because again, you have to. What would happen if Richard Sherman, if you took the name off and you just looked at the player and the type of player we would get from his personality to the actual player where he is in his career physically, to put all those things in, but take away the name Richard Sherman and his number and that yearning for the past that we always have, then that's I think how you have to look at this situation. And then if he signs, then of course we all get nostalgic and everything else. And I don't know how I would answer that, because I haven't done it. We did a little breakdown of it. I don't know, but so I think that's when people say, "Oh yeah, we got to have him back." It's like, are you saying that because you yearn for Richard Sherman, the Richard Sherman guy, or because you think his leadership in the locker room is going to help, and he could be a corner or move to safety or something else that's going to help, and we can get 2 really good years out of him? Like, if that's the case, then okay, I agree with you. But if you don't, then let San Francisco beat him, and let's let these rookies and DK and Lockett go up against him, right? So, but I don't know I haven't paid that much attention to him.
Yeah. Well, and if you if you believe anything from press conferences, it sounds like the coaches are very not even lukewarm about the idea. It sounds like they have not really been pursuing
they didn't
this,
have a conversation with them.
So it certainly doesn't seem like it was ever in the cards. So, but we'll see.
Hey, you know what we got to say real quick is on the Russ thing, which I thought was awesome. I've always said that the one thing I cannot stand are press conferences to announce that nothing has happened. Like, it's the only real pet peeve I've ever had in sports is the press conference to announce status quo. So when Pete Carroll and John Schneider came out, and regardless of what they said in their press conference about the Russell Wilson situation.
You're talking about the first time they spoke before the draft, after they've been silent for months?
Yeah. I had already said many times that I love that they had not come out at all and said anything. Because, what is there to say? Like, okay, hey, I don't want them to tell us that they're looking at trades, or I don't want to hear what they're potentially going to do. And I think people would have got even more upset. Like that, people say they want to know, and then if they would have heard, the Seahawks are in genuine talks with whatever, or they went to Fargo, North Dakota, and met with okay. So the fact they didn't, and then when he comes out, he says, "Look, I don't feel like I owe it to people to tell them, that nothing's really happening." And then, but I will tell you that we did have a conversation with, to me, that was great. Like, that's when people get on Pete Carroll. I don't think there's a lot of coaches that could handle the situation the way he and Schneider handled it, to the point of, let Russ do his thing. Let him be frustrated. We're doing all this stuff behind the scenes. We're going to do what we know we're going to do. And then everybody will see. So, because I'm sure there were times, he's a human being. There were times for me where I knew people were going to get on me for stuff. And I'm like, God, I want so badly to show them the work I'm doing right now, but it's going to be way better if I wait for them to see the completed project. Not just as a coach, but just in work or whatever. So to me, it was great that they kind of waited. And now it's like, who got the last laugh on that one? Really? Right? okay, Russ, yeah, you kind of got what you kind of can say, yeah, I got what I wanted, but no, you didn't. I think they were already going to do that anyway, and because they'd already got Waldron before you went into complain mode, a guy you said you wanted. So to me, it's just it was awesome, and to hear Schneider get on there, like I love when that guy talks. That guy's great.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah, and yet there's still people who say, "Oh, yeah, so you still believe what they're saying? Russ is gone." Anyway, we won't know until that actually happens, because we've seen press conferences where someone will say something and it might be true, and there are other times we've found out they were lying through their teeth because it certainly wasn't true, and something completely opposite happened 2 months later.
We're going to see what the Cheeseheads. The Cheeseheads are saying it right now. Their general manager, right? Like he's our guy, and the president. Aaron's our guy.
They're saying what
he's
you
our
have
guy
to
until
say.
we trade him to Denver.
Yeah, for the foreseeable future. That's a good one. He's our quarterback for the foreseeable future. That's a great vague term that means nothing.
You said that our final year, like, oh yeah, Mike and I we're gonna do your videos for the foreseeable future. And then like a month later, sorry, Bill, we're leaving.
The foreseeable future was a month.
We're done.
And that's it.
We're done doing highlight videos. No, I'm joking.
Anyway, we are not in Braveheart territory, but we're in about maybe Star Wars, one of the longer episode territories. But, I think this is that point in time where, Coach, I got to thank you for taking the time for this very in-depth look. I have to admit, I really didn't have time to because of the weekend I had, to even look at any film on D'Wayne how do you say his name? Eskridge? D'Wayne Eskridge.
Yeah, D'Wayne.
We've been talking to him. What's his name again? But to see this and have you break it down is awesome. I feel that much more just excited about this guy. So I appreciate you taking the time to find these plays and share it with everybody. And this is now the chance where I want to make sure people know about you, because there might be a lot of people seeing you for the first time. And where can they find you on the internet, and what can they expect to see on your upcoming shows?
Well, as you can see on the screen, well, it just kind of disappeared. Now it's moved to the other side. I've got my channel, Coach for Life, doing a lot of fun stuff that I know I've been saying for a while I'd be putting out, all the way back to January. But now that things have really settled down for me, it's been fun to do a couple of things with a young group that is connected to Norb, kind of the Norb Nation, on a weekly roundtable that we do. But I've also got a lot of really, really cool things that are, some are off of this, the Coach for Life that is coaching, and some that are Coach for Life that is, life itself. And that's why I came up with the term Coach for Life, because it's about everybody can be a coach for life. Like it's not me being a coach for the rest of my life. It was the whole moniker was about be a coach for life. Everybody can be a coach. So I got some really fun stuff that I've actually started putting together, and I'm excited to start editing them. And the live stuff is easy, Norb. That's why I found that doing live stuff's easy. But I've always had a great appreciation for what you've done with editing and all that stuff. And, I have a blast at it. It just takes a little while to do it, and ton of fun. So excited to do that, and just excited to make things work for you and get the subscribers and things lifted up for you, so we can go and, continue to have some fun times doing this. And I hope you guys enjoy. I hope in the end you guys enjoy this versus, like if you get riled up in a great way, like I love that. Like get riled up, have the challenges, but I hope you don't leave going, man, these guys are idiots, jerks, or like, just don't take it personal, because I know we don't take it personal. We're just here to have fun. And even with this, it's probably going to be a struggle coming up with great plays for the other two draft picks, because again, you can skew it a little bit, but I am genuinely fired up about this guy, because the first plays I found were great things. I didn't necessarily go with just highlight plays. I just went and looked to see how was this guy's career. It's like, geez, everything the guy does is fantastic. So yeah. I look forward to the future stuff we're going to keep on doing.
Absolutely. All right. So, everybody check out Coach Marsh's Coach for Life channel. Again, links are in the description. And don't stop watching now, because there are screens here you can click on to watch other videos. So please continue to do that, because the experience doesn't
I'm going to go to either one of these. First time I'm going to probably two of them.
Go to the one that's right on my face.
Computer
right here.
And right on the phone. Play on both of them.
It's all good stuff. All right. You guys have a great evening. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the roundtable. Take care, and